Well,
Actually, the day we
let me give
go
you
ahead.
some information. You better not say publicly you agree with me. You might be jeopardizing your career with some folks, maybe not with the majority, but I have to keep a sense of humor. God bless you. I see how this thing is probably fixing to go, and we'll talk more about the emergency purchase, and I really want to fix that purchasing ordinance in other areas. And, I believe you've been acting as purchasing manager, purchasing director, what all them technicalities are. And I think that they cheating you. So God bless you. If we don't talk, have a happy holiday. And thank you for being here. If it's something you want to finish up with, this is my time. You've got the floor.
No, I'm willing to answer any questions anyone else might have, but I think that's pretty much it. Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Mays. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on item number 210542 to council to vote that has not, who has not spoken? Is there anyone else who would like to speak on sending item number 210542 to council?
Madam Chair,
Councilwoman Lewis.
thank you. So I do understand the fact that things are going up. A lot of things are not available. So I'm a witness because I have been waiting on a part for my washing machine, and the part has been canceled several times. So I totally understand. And to avoid kicking the can down the road, I definitely feel that we should go ahead and get this done because it needs to be done eventually. So I'm definitely voting in support of getting this done and send it to council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Lewis. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on sending item number 210542 to council? Is there anyone else who would like to speak?
Madam Chair.
Is it Councilman Pfeiffer?
Yeah, I'm not, I'm not disputing that it doesn't need to be done. I'm disputing the process and skirting the transparency of the RFP process specifically. So I just want to be clear. I'm not saying that it doesn't need to be done. It obviously needs to be done. But we're setting a dangerous precedent when we use an emergency purchase for something that isn't going to be done for 6 months. If that's the case, everything can be skirted and they can just issue POs and anything to anybody they want to without doing the RFP process. So I just want to be very clear on that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Pfeiffer. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on item number 210542, Maryland DBS? Is there anyone else who would like to speak on item number 210542?
Madam Chair,
Councilman Mays.
if I haven't spoken a second time, I would take the second time just
Go
to
ahead.
say this to the council. I would take the second round just to say this to the council in discussion on this item. This is Finance Committee meeting. This is the last item. When you're managing time, sometimes you bulk stuff up and mess the resolutions. You move it, you get it to council, you cut the criticism as a meeting that can go long. It's a variety of ways to make meetings go short. And I'll try to help people with that. I tried to do it in the special affairs meeting. I respectfully disagree with Ms. Hergenroder and others that was a good meeting. It was 6 hours long. After this item, we'll be at the discussion items, if there's any financial discussion items in general, and so forth and so on. But I want to take the second round and say there's tricks and things that can be done. Or, I don't mind staying in meetings, recessing them to the next day. It just all depends on people's schedule. Miss Winfrey Carter, I knew she would not maybe be here, She might be here for council meeting, but all of those things come into play. People's schedule, how long the meeting should last. Don't get caught up into that. That's just some outside politics. A meeting should last as long as it takes to get through resolutions and take care of the business of the city with precision. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Mays. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Is there anyone else who would like to speak? I believe we have done our second round. Is there anyone else who would like to speak before I speak? I'm going to speak on item number 210542, and I'm going to keep it brief. I agree with with Councilman Pfeiffer. I don't agree. I don't like the process how it was done. I don't agree, and then I listened back twice to the tape when I listened very carefully to it's not clear, but Lauren Riley, who is our purchasing manager, or she's the purchasing director. She stated that Mr. Lee Osborne and Garland came to her and said, we have to figure out how to get this roof paid for. I wasn't comfortable with how you would have the contractor go directly with the maintenance manager to her to do that. And it's on the YouTube video. I listened to it twice. I think we have to be cautious with this contractor has been doing business with the city of Flint, and this contractor has not done, according to some of the work, he's fixing some work free on Brennan Center because there were leaks and there were issues. There are issues over on Hasselbrink. So my question is, when we're looking how we process and we bid these out, we're looking at the same contract. He said he wasn't the contractor, and he was the project manager. I'm not just real comfortable with this. And when I see people moving around like that, that is a definite sign to me that we need to question it. I know that if he's over there fixing that roof at Brennan Center, why is he fixing it for free? There's been $247,000 that was paid to fix Brennan Center and another $177,000. There shouldn't be a leak anywhere in that building. And I went there. Almost every single tile in the gym and in the exercise working where the seniors go has got leaks and water stains. They're there. It's not a figment of my imagination. Water has run down some of those buildings to where they have stained the cinder blocks. We have seniors in there who are at risk with compromised immune systems, who are on oxygen tanks. So if that, at that point, it was no concern, I have a problem with that, because there's no way you fix a roof and have that many leaks. There's no way. So my concern for this one, I got serious concerns with this process. Yes, we've talked about it, and it probably should move on to council. I think we need to be very careful how we're bidding these projects, that when, someone's prancing to the purchasing department and they're stating, got a problem with that. That to me does not sound, it's just not the way you do business. You don't go with them to let's put in this, let's figure out a way. I wasn't comfortable with that. Not at all. Maybe it was just, she misspoke, but it was said. And I played it back and I listened to it. So I'm going to, if there's no one else who wants to speak, I'm going to ask for the roll call, Madam Chair, Madam Clerk. Roll Yes,
call.
ma'am.
On item number 210, I'm going to say no. No.
Mr. Promoter,
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Pfeiffer,
No.
Ms. Worthing,
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Mays,
No.
No.
Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Ms. Priestley,
Yes.
Ms. Lisa Carter.
No.
Vote is 5 yes, 3 no.
Oh, she wasn't here.
Okay, we have 5 yes, 3 no. Item number 210542 will be sent to council to vote. We are now we have no discussion items, am I correct?
Madam Chair.
Yes, Councilman Mays.
Yeah, I do have a discussion item in this finance committee meeting, and you might hear it again in regular meeting. But there's been a meeting call. If did anybody know on this council who did not know, a meeting has been called for tomorrow, I think at 6 o'clock by Mr. Neely.
Interesting.
dealing with the budget. It's what my information tells me. I said I would clear these meetings
Hey,
out,
Rich, I
but
just
I
missed
would
that.
make
What did they
sure
vote
I
for?
announce it
Mickey,
to the
we might
public
have
and
spoke
or
up
to
on
the
something.
council members. If I'm not
We
mistaken,
might
it'll
have
be
stirred
some
up
type
something
of budget
yesterday.
talk or
What they
communication
vote?
tomorrow
What
at
they
6
voted them
o'clock.
Oh, they got a
finances or
special.
something?
They got a
Meeting
special
called by
meeting
Mr.
tomorrow. Nearly called
Neely
a special
through you,
meeting.
Madam Chair, to
That's
Ms.
listen.
Edwards. Is that a fact?
Yes, Councilman Mays, you are correct. That is the required charter meeting for the budget.
Mr. Whittigan, Madam Chair, through you to Mr. Whittigan, is that a fact?
Yes, this meets the charter requirement.
Mr. Whittigan, you'll be here.
I believe it's virtual, so I will be on the line.
Through you, Madam Chair, to Janelle, was it posted virtual? And if so, why? Because if it's a special meeting, we're to be in person. Have it been posted virtual, and who posted it virtual?
This is
The
the mayor's
administration.
meeting. Yes, the
Beg
administration.
your pardon?
The administration posted it.
Okay. Okay. Well, this council voted for certain meetings to be in person and some to be virtual, Mr. Wiggin. I'm not going to bicker about it. I ain't going to trip about it, but I know what I'm talking about. And then as it relates to, I heard some of my colleagues and even a member of the public pat a colleague on the back. Any special meetings, particularly electronic, such as the State of the City address, this particular meeting called by the mayor, under the law, they're all, in my opinion, for whatever it's worth, treated the same. They're mandated. It's okay to do them. It's been posted virtual. We'll see if we have a quorum. This particular council voted 8-0 as it relates to committee and in person. You know, I don't know how they'll operate. Some of them I can't predict. But I just want to make that announcement, Madam Chair, clear some things up. And, you know, even for me, who had some information, I didn't know it had been posted virtual. And we'll see what this council do quorum-wise. Because when we get to government operations, I'll talk and ask questions about this last quorum, or lack thereof. Thank you, Madam Chair. I would be selfish if I moved to adjourn, so I won't.
Thank you. Any more discussion items? That's the only item. I would like to move this meeting to adjourn. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Mays.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I would do a point of order or simply just make a motion that we adjourn before we do roll call.
Thank you. I make a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Mays.
I second.
I know that a chair don't give up his right to make motions and second them. I second your motion.
Thank you. There's motion on the floor to adjourn the Finance Committee. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Mr. Rickenroder,
Yes.
Mr. Pfeiffer,
Yes.
Ms. Worthing,
Yes.
Mr. Mays,
Yes.
Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
I abstain.
Ms. Priestley,
Man,
Yes.
Ms. Winfrey Carter,
man, he's
Man,
terrible,
I
man.
told you he got a little
Yeah.
character in him, man. He all that.
voted 7 yes,
I
1
like
absent.
that.
Terrible,
That's how
man.
you take.
There's
That's how
7
you
yes,
take.
1 abstention.
Yeah,
How
he
you
can't
put a
be
little
acting
ice
like
on the
that.
fire.
Meeting
That's okay.
has been
I
adjourned.
like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, he can't be acting like that, man. Quincy got to come
That's
off
a good
this.
move right there, though. I like that. I might do that too if I was there. That's when we get down to
Jeanette,
that one.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I don't think that Miss Winfrey Carter would be here. Liddell Lewis, Vice Chair. That's who I would expect unless Miss Winfrey Carter came to call Governmental Operations Committee to order.
Look at Eric.
No, I don't see her.
Look at Eric. Eric playing
Oh.
nice.
I get the. Oh man, I think I get to speak. I think they're gonna have public speaking.
They finna have
So
public
you are
speaking.
correct. And Liddell Lewis is the vice chair.
Let's get it.
Oh, no.
Ms. Lewis, are you there?
I'm here. So
Okay.
So I'm having an issue with my computer. So is it possible for us to do another committee at the moment? Because I don't have
Well,
the paper
not
copy.
based upon the rules. If we suspend the rules,
Back to the goofy rules.
but we ain't in a meeting. We can help you if you call it to order. We can help you through the agenda if that's the problem.
Mr. President.
Here she goes.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
This is Councilwoman Herkenroder. Actually, according to the rules, you as the council president may determine the order in which committees are addressed.
And so that's the rules. And I remember that rule. But if you want to call it to order, Miss Lewis, I don't know what the computer issue is, but, you know, we'll help you if you want to call it to order.
You see Ali Hokenroder was trying to...
No, I do not. Yeah, if you could just give me some time to get it together and go with another committee, I appreciate that. Because I wasn't anticipating having to chair the meeting. I was not notified. Thank you.
Always got to be ready when you're
Is your computer allowing you to see other committees?
I have the paper copy.
I don't know what okay, so if you have the paper copy,
give her a break,
what's preventing you from calling it
Give
to
her a
order?
break. Go on, let her slide. Don't let her see. This is what I'm saying. Eric, don't let her slide. Don't let her slide, E.
Okay. All right.
You could just give her a break.
Yeah, go on, let her slide, E.
I do remember the rule that Ms. Herkenroder has cited. Thank you, Ms. Herkenroder. I'll use my discretion. You want to call legislative committee to order?
Yep, it's 8:47. I call legislative committee to order. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Mr. Mays?
They look like they might be in this job at about 4 in the morning.
Ms. Lewis?
Present.
Mr. Murphy?
Present.
Ms. Priestley?
Present.
Ms. Winfrey Carter? Ms. Burns?
Present.
Yeah, that's a little
Ms.
rough.
Herkenroder?
What's up,
Present.
brother?
People was wise. They would listen to me when you notice the first time I referenced that essence and accountability meeting.
Remote announcement.
It wasn't yesterday. I've been referencing that.
There physically loaded,
and that just came into play again. And people need to catch little things like that.
Yeah, I'm attending
they make it sound good, but
remotely from the first ward in a house
it's
that ain't been boarded up in the city of Flint, Michigan.
Ms. Lewis?
I'm attending this meeting remotely from the second ward in Flint, Michigan.
Eric said the house that ain't been boarded up.
In this meeting remotely from the third ward.
Yeah, because Bob Moore
I'm attending remotely
his house
from
boarded up, man, he a crackhead. She been clown.
Ms. Winfrey Carter? Ms. Burns? Tanya Burns, 6th Ward City Councilwoman, attending remotely, 6th Ward, Flint,
They finna
Michigan.
go to public comments, Rick.
Ms. Herkenroder?
Yeah, I'm glad that. Let's see what they do.
Oh my
Attending
goodness,
remotely
Miss
from
Barbara
Michigan.
Moore finna clown.
Ms. Worthing?
attending remotely, Flint, Michigan.
Thank you.
Okay, member contact info is on the agenda. Procedures of conducting electronic meeting is on the agenda as well, even though I think there's an error on that to have the member contact info twice. Reading of disorderly conduct is on the agenda. Madam Clerk, are there any public
Mr.
speakers?
Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman. Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I wanted that governmental ops to go first. It's 8:49. I want to do a quick point of information through you to Edwards. Mr. Edwards, do you anticipate Mr. Whittigan and yourself and Amanda Trujillo to leave at 9?
Through the chairperson to Councilman Mays, we will be actively here. Those names that you have called will be.
I thought they was gonna leave again at 9 o'clock.
Sometime longer.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for giving me the floor to do that.
He's standing up there. He's standing up there. He throw it all. He throw it.
We'll see what happens. Because when we get to the governmental operations agenda, I have some specific questions for you, Amanda, and Mr. Whittigan. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Madam Clerk, are there any public speakers?
You're gonna have to mute your mic, Rich.
First caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council. The next caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council.
I'm still there, baby.
Yeah, you still here. I said, don't forget to mute your what's the name when you finna talk.
Mute
yes,
what?
My name is AC Dumas.
Whatever, you on your
I've been
JPad?
listening since the council meetings have started. I have
You
no
might have to mute your
comments
JPad
at this
when you
time.
talk because you know we live. It'll be able to hit. It's gonna catch your phone.
Another committee
So
meeting.
mute whichever.
I'm gonna mute my phone.
Flint City Council meeting.
Oh, you on your phone on this?
Yeah.
All right, well, mute this phone when you get ready to talk on the other one, so you won't have no echo.
Next caller has been unmuted.
Oh, that's me now.
Muted.
Oh.
The next caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council.
Since council meetings have started, I have no comments.
The next caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council.
Oh, that's me now. Is we better now?
Okay.
Okay. How you doing? My name is Richard Jones.
How you doing? My name is Richard Jones.
I'm gonna walk away. Well, anyway,
Jones, can you turn down any TVs or anything in your house?
Yeah, hold on. Mickey, you was supposed. Is we better now?
Yes.
Okay. How you doing? My name is Richard Jones, and I thought I turned it down. I'm gonna walk away. Well, anyway, I'm kind of surprised that I have more confidence in the city council than they have in themselves when it comes to those Hopper funds. Y'all mentioned the Detroit. Did y'all notice that they didn't hire any firm to do it? Did y'all notice that Benton Harbor didn't hire any firm to do it? We got people that's claiming they got doctorate degrees and super grant writers. So in order to do that, you got to read rules and regulations and put everything in order to receive those grants. Well, now, instead of you got to put stuff in order to receive a grant, you can put stuff in order to make something happen. Come on, man. Don't play yourselves cheap. Y'all can do this. Put your minds together. And, boy, y'all got a beautiful meeting tomorrow, huh? So listen, give that budget man maker some suggestions. No rubber stamp, suggestions. I expect an amendment from all 9 council members. Thank you.
The next caller has been unmuted. If they make...
Yeah, they got that. They got that look.
Yes, this is Ray Hall, 5th Ward.
Ray Hall talking. Watch this.
I like what Richard just said. Is that we got to understand that there's a problem between the city of Flint and the city council, and that's why we give millions and millions of dollars to everybody but ourselves. We need every nickel and dime. My community foundation, the community foundation, nonprofits, the universities. We have all kind of accountants. We got accountants on city council. So we got all kind of people that can come together and put this money towards the people. We need every nickel and dime to go to our community. We can feed our community with these millions of dollars. We can entertain them. We can do whatever we can, as long as these ARCO funds go towards the community, towards the people. That's what we need to do. We keep feeding everybody because we're evil towards each other. We can't live with each other. We can't stand one another. That's why the city council and the mayor's office wants to spend millions, because when you spend millions of other people to do your job, you don't want to get along with the people that you live with. But to make things quick, I wonder how the council feel about the Taliban. That's the Afghanistan. That's the Taliban. I mean, what's the difference between them in the first place? You don't look out for us. Let's look out for ourselves. The second thing is the shooting. Jamaica Patrick's children, grandkids were shot at. Every time a shooting happens, we throw it up under the bus? Do we care anything about ourselves? The next thing is we need to fire the Flint water attorneys. We need to put a town hall together and get them back before us so we can fire them. They're fraudulent. They don't speak in our behalf. They don't do anything for us but collect millions and millions of dollars. They already got 30 million. They're going for 30 million more. And they're just going to keep putting stuff to the side. If we don't stand for ourselves, let alone the properties, we got all kind of people from the youth to the elderly who will work on these homes and these properties. We need to look out for ourselves. We can't sit. That's why the children are killing themselves. And we're killing everybody because we can't look. Y'all said in transparency that y'all was there for the people of the city of Flint. But you're there for yourselves and your egos. You can't.
Man,
we know
who
Eric Mays is. He's going to be who he is. You've been up with him many years. Respect your elders. Put some respect on it. All right. I guess I got to wait another couple of hours to speak. Thank you so much.
But, hey, Mick,
if they'd like to speak.
He wasn't lying. It's going to be a couple hours before he gets a chance to speak again. That's why I put my phone back on the
Next caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council.
I wonder what is wrong with them wanting to help the people of Flint, man. This is crazy.
Man, I don't know, but hey, listen. I can't wait. Barbara Moore coming up. She got to come up.
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting on right there.
I'm gonna have to mute myself when she come on because I'm gonna be cracking up. And what the comments saying? I can't read them little letters.
You talk about for public speaking? Oh, and I was nine.
Yeah, I see like from what I'm looking at on my screen, I see like some comments on the side of where it say public speakers.
Yeah, I can read that for you. That ain't none. I can do that.
If you speak a little louder.
You talk about them public. No, I was looking at our own comments. Becky Brown said that y'all catch that what 7th Ward did.
Yeah,
Yeah, but now, Fox, you want to read what they saying in the council. Linda Carter Wells laughing at
Hey, this sounds like your boy Rodney.
He knows nothing at all.
Let me turn that up.
Not to take nothing from anybody, but it seems like everybody around
Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, we feel like cities around here. Everybody got this bright idea and big old plans and all talk real good, but they talk don't match their work. You see, I know I ain't no rocket scientist, but I know that we got to come together. We ain't gonna get nowhere. And steal all this money that's been given or whatever.
Yeah, I hear you.
We still ain't seen nothing.
I'm
What
trying
he
to put
say?
in a little work. I
He
ain't,
said they want
but I try to do
they
a little
want
something
people
to
to
help my
leave.
city.
That's why they
And
not
I'm
helping
still
people so
willing
they can continue
to,
with the master plan.
or I should
I
say,
agree
still
with that.
Man,
looking
hey, look,
for a
if Chris
brighter future.
Callow keeps speaking up the way he do,
Only
he
thing I
gonna
got
get
left is
Black
hope.
Ward out that group
If I
too.
Hold on,
lose
I'll
that,
let you
if
see
I
what Chris
lose that,
Caleb
ain't no
said
telling
because
what
you
might
couldn't
happen.
see what he
So
said.
I'm trying to keep
You want to
hope
see it now?
alive.
That's what Chris
But
Oh
Caleb
yeah.
said.
it still sounds like a bunch of talk, and everybody just running around like George Booker had an old song called Masquerade.
You're right,
Everybody
Chris
put on
Keller.
this face
And
like
they
this,
could have
that,
helped
and
us
the
move
third,
by
and
giving
then
everybody been fighting for everybody getting
I'm trying to holler
$50,000+
at them
in these water
outside
prices.
this meeting. They
Could have
want
just
me to
paid
move
us
the
to get
quick
out of here. Give me
because they
if
playing
they
the
would have gave
time
me
for
$50,000, I would have
Trump
moved.
real quick. I mean, excuse my French, but that's
Yes,
just
we
my
did, Miss
personal
Brown.
opinion. That's how it come across to me. We need to, the Trump needs to match his walk. And like I said, and I said again, I ain't perfect by far, but I'm trying to work with, programs in my city to help moving forward. It just seems like ain't no second. All this money, thanks for allowing me to speak.
Next caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council. Next caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council.
Yes, Arthur Woodson. I'd like to start off with Mr.
Get him,
Chris,
Mark.
where he said Flint Moran and others should not be trusted because they work with the emergency manager and all that. Well,
Man, Chris, man, they see, man. Go let Arthur speak. Turn that on. Let him hear Art.
And also, I got an
Good
email
news
with you and Governor Snyder where he asked you to go and find information on council voting to go to Flint River. Like, hey, he wanted you to find dirt on Flint. So by you saying we shouldn't trust this other company, we shouldn't trust you. You know what I'm saying? Ms. Worthing, you are hypocritical because
she a terrible person.
Ms. Fields gave Mayor Weaver hell along with myself with AECOM. So if you didn't trust her administration, why do people have to trust this administration? Leave people alone. They have their own right to be whichever way they want to vote, whatever they want to do. See, that's the problem here. You can't force, you don't even research. You go by what other people say. Mr. Brown, I heard you say something interesting, and I don't know for sure if what you meant. Did you say that the wind funds was used for MDOT? I really would like for you to clear that up, because what I saw on the legislative budget, it showed that it was $13 million left from all the projects and some money left for renovation, restoration. Now, what you can do is go get that money from Goyette that y'all gave to Goyette in that lawsuit that they didn't even supposed to have. What you can do is go get that money from where they said they did road restoration and they never did excavation. You can go get that money back also, and then where they took the contract from W.T. Stevens doing
Barbara Moore
the
got it
voting,
next.
and they never did the work because we had COVID.
Hey, Mary,
where is
I'll
that
be right
money?
back.
So we got $49 million left, y'all, as of April 2021 for the Flint Water Declaration Emergency. Go and find out where that $50 million is and where it should go. Thank you.
Next caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council.
Hi, yes, my name is Chelsea Brown. So I am calling, just give me 1 second. Regarding resolution 210591, it's a grant amount of the budget amendment transfer funds to the ARPA funds. So on here, it basically says that if they want to approve a HUD grant. Now, when I go through the packet, all the stuff is not local. So my question is, why can't we get our local contractors from the city to do some of our city work here
Oh, that's third ward right there.
instead of outsourcing from different states.
That's Miss Brown, third ward.
Thank you and have a good one.
That's in the comments.
Yeah. I mean, that's just public speaking.
The next caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council. The next caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council.
Yes, thank you. My name is Chris Delmarone. I live in Flint, Michigan.
CD.
Am I to understand that after we get through with these committee meetings, that council will be, the council meeting will be held in council chambers tonight? If someone can maybe answer that real quick. You know, I guess I want to talk about property. I don't know that Flint should be in the real estate business, but, you know, if you're going to try and sell some property, you should try and sell it at the highest price you can get it at, whether it be through an auction or you establish a price for it. The buyer should not establish a price that they're willing to pay. Regarding, let's say, the Children's Museum. Now, I heard one council member say that the price that the city will get for the property is just about the exact amount of money that it would cost to tear it down. Certainly, I don't think the city should help tear down that the old farmers market there. So maybe someone could clarify what they meant, or if that's going to be the fact that the city will be liable to tear it down. Again, there are billboards on that property. They should be generating some income. I'm not sure who gets it right now, but I think Uptown holds the lease. Or does the city of Flint receive that? That property is worth more than the $30,000 or $35,000. You know, we acquired all them empty lots, and I don't know how you're going to administer that. Boy, it's difficult to cut 300 or 400
I don't even
lots
know if
that
I'll
are,
be available
you know,
in 5 years. I
apart,
might
and
be
you have
doing
to load
something
up
bigger.
equipment to use one lot
I'm
instead of
doing
50
big.
by 100 foot
I'm
lot.
making
You know, I don't
plans
know
for
the last time
2022.
somebody bought a 50 by 100 foot lot in the
And
city
this
of
time
Flint
I'm
and
gonna
built
be
a
on
house
about
on
it.
it. If anybody knows, it'd be interesting. But I think you probably got to go back to the 1960s or so, maybe 70s. But you know, the house I live in, basically a 50 by 100 foot lot, almost 100 years ago now. All right, thank you.
Next caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council.
Hi, my name's Dan Brisson. I'd like to tell the council a tale of two cities.
Listen to this. Listen to
City
this.
right next to mine has about the same population, but has a higher net worth. So what they did is they had the mayor's office and the council made recommendations, and they sent out flyers to all the residents in 3 languages: Spanish, Portuguese, and English.
No, Rich, Rich, that's the other stuff
then,
from that's in
the
city council comments on YouTube.
Committees like union leaders,
That's what
like
them comments is.
union and so
That
forth.
you trying to
They
read. I can't
appointed,
see them either, but
No, I'm trying
people
to
on
listen to
there,
the old boy.
the Coalition for
I'm
Social
turning
Cause
around.
sometimes he
Justice,
go
the
in on them. Just seem
churches,
like today
the
he
veterans
mellowed out a
homeless
little bit.
projects, and well, I don't, for the sake of time, I'm not going to name them all. These recommendations were submitted to our Senator Warren, and our other senator, and also the representative. They looked it over. Then these recommendations and the dollar
That's what
amounts
Becky Brown said.
where they were going to go and all that.
Yes,
it went
yes,
back to
they
the
are.
mayor's office, and he
yes,
had
they are, Miss Brown.
$300,000 for oversight, when the staff and Senator Warren and the other federal senators who wrote these bills,
most of those comments, some of I ain't gonna say most because I ain't reading them all,
ended up
but
the
I
city
know
council
quite a
rejected
few of
all
them
them.
are what I would call distractions.
Well, they have to start over.
Especially the ones that be agreeing with Barbara Moore. and evil worthless.
A scale,
evil worthless.
Caution on how you do it. They use the city's law staff and all the other things. Well, that's it. Thank you. I went over last time, not this time. Bye.
Next caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council.
Hello?
Yeah.
My name is Barbara Moore, and I just want to talk a little bit about what's going on with the administration and the council. Now, it's going to always be at a stalemate if the council is going to try to micromanage and second guess what the administration does. This was happening on the last council, and it has carried on to the new council. I'm not referring to all of the members, the one who the shoe fits, wear it. And you know, this is ridiculous for you to try to, when they do bids, you come back and you want to actually do the bid yourself. You know, the citizens are suffering, and we have people on the YouTube that say I'm living a miserable life because I'm calling in. No, I'm not living a miserable life. It's quite the opposite. But the citizens of Flint are suffering because of what's going on amongst some of the council members. Things are not getting done, and you know, the stage is being set to work against the mayor. You know, so you can impede the progress with some of the council members, and you know, and that don't make sense because it hurts the city as a whole. And Councilwoman Worthing, I would like to thank you for calling the point of order, because Tanya Burns illegally had me muted. She read the Rule 3110 about giving a warning. Was I giving a warning? No. She just didn't like what I was saying. And I was telling her I wasn't going to argue with her. I told her several times, and it's on the record, and she still told Janelle to mute me. But see, God intervened, and I got unmuted again because she was wrong. And no, Tanya Burns, I did not say that you owe $60,000. I said combined with your debt and Eric May's debt, it's close to $60,000 that's owed. That's what I stated, and that's what the record will reflect. And you know, and like I said, I'm not here to cause confusion. I'm here because of the confusion that's going on. And so when people talk about me, it don't make me no difference. You can call my husband a wimp on the YouTube. That's irrelevant too, because I know that he's not. I know who Barbara Moore is. Barbara Moore speaking up for the citizens of Flint. No, I can't vote in Flint, but I will speak up for the citizens of Flint. That some of the residents of Flint will not do, refuse to do, you know. But you want to talk about me. So like I said, evidently I have your attention. And like I said, you don't mute me because you choose to mute me and think that it won't be no consequences behind it. I know that you're a chairperson, but that don't mean that you can just mute anybody. I have freedom of speech, which you took away from me when you told Janelle to mute me because you didn't like what I was saying. And not one time tonight did I mention anything about Eric Mays smoking crack with my brother. But he interjected that into the attack that I was supposedly doing. But I never mentioned that tonight. So that was just some frivolous stuff. And then you have these frivolous lawsuits that's costing the city. And then, like I said, to make him the president of the council, that speaks volumes. Speaks volumes.
Ms. Moore,
yes.
Please wrap it up.
Did the bell go off?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I'm through. I'm through with that.
Man, we can make some memes. We can make some memes off of just some of the stuff she be saying.
The next caller has been unmuted. If
help me, Jesus, help me.
You in the matrix, Rich.
The next caller has been unmuted. If they'd like to speak to council.
Oh yes. Good evening, Dwayne Richardson. It's sad, very, very sad that
hey, facts, Chris.
People
facts,
are still
bro.
blind to the corruption of the mayor.
Facts. I should have. But you know what? I'm gonna make sure at the next meeting that I hit Quincy with
so
that.
Miserable, not even in good health.
That everybody he can rise the grass up to get everybody.
With the same sad story just pure ignorance. I won't call her name because she feels she's gonna get attention, but if the shoe fits, wear it, like you just said. But back to a serious note, corruption still going on, still there. Just because you have a mayor that gets on a TV or a radio station and laughs and jokes around, and you might see him out every now and again, and he can laugh and wave and smile at you. It's pure corruption going on. It doesn't matter. If you can't look past all of that and see what's going on in that administration, then it's a Saturday in Flint. So people are talking about backing this member and backing that member. That doesn't matter when corruption is going on. Yes,
No,
if
Chris,
somebody
you're
has
right.
to
She said it on this show too.
show who they are
On
to get a
the
point
Thursday
across
show
about corruption, then that's the only way it can
Showing
be.
up
You have people
did.
that sit in these chairs just so they can
That
be
was me
seen or
and you,
just
Rich. She said it with.
to be
Yeah,
heard.
yeah.
Making up for
And
lost
she
time.
and she
Just
said
find
it
out
on
it
her
wasn't
own. Ain't
somebody that was
nobody bring that out of her.
wrong and
That
try to
wasn't the
be
subject.
on
I don't speak
council.
like that.
I have a position to move a city forward, but you can't do it and you won't do it just to be seen. Come on now, it's more to it. It's more to that seat than that. Having your name heard.
Yeah, they is
You have
going
people
in
that
on
want
the
to sit
husband.
there
Hey, you
and
know
really
what?
get city business
You know
done.
what? You know
I
what
don't
that
care
just made me
what
remind
way
me
it has
of?
to get done.
What's
It's
up, Rich?
The
political.
word rubber
If it's
stamp, when
getting done,
used
let it be
against
done.
them,
Just to
makes
sit
them
there,
very
just to have
aggressive.
a seat.
Because
No,
remember,
I'm
I
not
was
for that.
the
So yeah,
conversation was rubber
you're there
stamps
for
for
a seat
Nearly
to have your
when
name
she just
heard.
broke out
Eva,
and changed it to
or you want a
her
big
brother
extra
smoked
paycheck
crack with
coming
Eric
in.
Mays.
But it's people that got here now who really
Same
want to
thing
move
with
the
the
city
Dale
forward.
Lewis. When I
And
brought up rubber
they
stamp,
need to be able to
all
do
of a
it.
sudden you don't want to make me a ally, enemy, or whatever she said. You see what I'm saying? That's
Right.
they trigger word, rubber
Next
stamp.
caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council.
Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I would like to talk about
State your name.
resolution 2.
Please state your name.
Oh, my name is Zachary Harrison from the 3rd Ward.
Thank you.
I would like to talk about resolution 2. I would like to talk about resolution 210588 about the tax hardship. There's a lot of issues or components in there that kind of troubles me. You know, the asset level of $10,000. You know, there's a lot of retired seniors in Flint, specifically General Motors retirees. $10,000.
Hey,
You know, some
put
people
up what Becky
retired
said
back in the
again. She said
70s.
something about here.
$10,000. A lot
Because
of them
you
don't even make
speaking
that
too
per
much.
year.
You want to hear the speaker.
And still own their homes and pay taxes and higher water bills. The other issue is the ownership relationship. You know, if you don't own it, you know, or owns another property next to it, then if it's not in your name but it's next to you and you own it, and then you know you have issues with that coming up. Then it talks about anyone living outside of the house as far as this tax rebate or forgiveness. That has a issue with estates. You know, a lot of these properties are being, you know, in their states to where seniors again are living in them, and you know when they pass on, they're left to their children or grandchildren. And that's, you know, I will hope, you know, you look into that resolution a little bit further as you come across it. And another thing I would like to say, you know, about council. I know, you know, everybody don't get along. I understand that. You know, I'm like Mr. Mays. I'm an elderly gentleman, retired from General Motors. We all have different opinions, but I hope, you know, we all get along. You know, we all be able to vent our opinions. And, you know, the reason, and remember that the reason that you're there is for the citizens of the city of Flint. Personal issues, you know, they will come along, but to conduct them during council business is unprofessional, in my opinion. I respect every one of you, and I'll wrap that up. Thank you.
Next caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council. The next caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council. That was the last speaker, Mr. Chairperson.
Madam Clerk, are there any written responses?
Yes, we have two. The first one is from Jim Haberman. Good evening. Can the council inquire about the year-to-date homicide total for the city? I heard it was 63 as of Thursday. I also heard a second victim passed away from the bus station shooting. The all-time record is 68. We must be close right now, even though the population is at a 100-year low. Flint has never been this lawless and out of control. It's distressing. Regards, James. And the second one is from Michelle Harrison in the 8th Ward. The weekly crime report on the city's website has not been published since November 7th. In other words, 7 weekly reports are missing. Please advise. And that's the last one.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Is there any council members that want to respond to the public? Are there any council members that want to respond to the public?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Mays.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'm looking to fix the rules back like they were 20 years ago, before some of these rules get into play. Council people used to could address the public, make referrals, and get that business of service to the public over with. And we was able to help a lot of people that way. I know when these rules came into play as to the public, I appreciate the public spending this time, those who seem to be sincere, and I have the right to have my opinion on that, and those who seem to really want to see the city move forward. We'll see what the council does with the rules, Ms. Priestley, Ms. Hergenroder, but my vision is that we would do it sometime in December. Now it looks like, and that's okay. We might visit it in January or February. I appreciate all of the callers. Continue to participate in the democracy. It's a small sample, but it gives me enough insight to know what the public thinks. The public is smart. I've lived to learn that and know that. And so God bless the residents of the city of Flint.
Thank you, Mr. Mays. Are there any other council members who wish to address the public?
This is Councilman Murphy.
Councilman Murphy, you have the floor.
Okay, I just wanted to thank all the callers for calling in. I was taking notes while you guys were talking, and for the gentleman that in the 3rd Ward, I was looking for that resolution number that he was talking about with the moving the asset level to, I think, from 10,000 to 15,000. I believe that was something that Councilwoman Alley were trying to do, and I think we referred that to another committee. I don't know where that's at, but I'll follow up on what he was saying on that. And I just took some notes and want him to know that I was listening to him.
Mr. Chair.
Councilwoman Ms. Hergenroder.
I also wanted to echo the sentiments of my colleague in the 3rd Ward regarding Resolution 210588. We did make an amendment to change it so that there would be a bit more wiggle room, because I totally understand, and I understand how that $10,000 can severely hinder. So just know that that is something that we are working on, and I believe that we should have an amended resolution actually for the Governmental Ops Committee that would make that at that $50,000. So I hear you 1,000%, and I appreciate everyone for calling in tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Hertenroder. Is anyone else?
Mr. Chair.
Councilwoman Lewis.
Thank
You
you.
have the floor.
Thank you. So just wanted to respond to the caller that was speaking about all of the council's talents and what we are able to do. Yes, some of us are grant writers. Yes, some of us do. Well, one of us do have PhD. But the point is this. The point is we are still part-time. So we don't have the capacity to do what a compliance firm can do because we are part-time. Now we're going to have a meeting come up talking about pay and et cetera, and maybe having the option of council being full-time, but by us being part-time, we're limited in scope. We are. Many people, they have full-time jobs, and they do. So we don't have that capacity. So please keep that in mind as we're talking about, what we can do. Yeah, we have the capacity, but as far as the time. So that's our issue here, capacity. So thank you so much for all the callers, and you all have a great evening.
Thank you, Councilwoman Lewis. Anyone else?
Boy, she
Mr.
made
Chair,
a
this is
switch right
Councilwoman
there.
Burns.
Councilwoman Burns, you have the floor.
Yes, I want to thank all the callers calling in, even those with constructive criticism, as we work together to bring the council together to work cohesively. I do want to respond to the callers who called in about the crime reports. A lot of people look at those because there's been several shootings. I believe over this past weekend we had approximately 7 shootings. All those were not homicides, so we've got some work that we need to do. There's some key things that we need to identify. There was a shooting today at the corner of Court and Ballinger.
We paused the city council after this.
Shootout. They left the car, they jumped
we
out.
paused
I
the
was
city
on my
council
way
after they
home
get done.
from the veterinarian with my dog. So these are some of the things that we see. People in Flint, and it's not everyone, but it's just enough to cause havoc on everyone else's life to where they are lawless. They are lawless, and something needs to be done. Bullets hit, I believe, 2 homes that were there. This is at 12:40 p.m. So there's no let me hurry up and get home before the people who act the fool get out. No, they're out all day long now. There was a shooting last Tuesday where the 2-year-old and 4-year-old, the mom was a registered nurse, and her car was shot. She actually, her mother, the grandmother of the children, Jamaica Patrick Singleton, who serves on the board, who worked for the prior administration, those were her grandchildren. I was actually on the phone with her. So yes, we have got to address this. We have got to work with the chief to come up with a public safety plan. We've got to do this because what we're doing isn't working. Having a gun emergency, people have illegal guns. They aren't asking, can I carry an illegal gun to shoot somebody? That just doesn't happen.
Wait, you got
So
your
we've got
radio
to do
on or
something
something or
different.
TV?
As I left that scene,
I ain't got nothing on.
today was the individuals that were
No,
there. There
I
was
was just
their
saying with your
retaliation.
phone.
They were younger
Don't worry
people.
about it.
They're fitting the criteria.
No,
I'm
my
gonna wrap it
phone,
up.
I ain't even called in. I once
There will probably be
once
another
this meeting
shooting
in, I
if
gotta
they
call in
shot at
again on my
someone
phone.
else.
My phone
And
ain't even
everything is
on right
about
now.
get back.
Well,
It's on the
we
charge.
have our nephews, nieces who are out here acting foolishness, and we are accepting it,
You
and we
going
are
in the
part of the
matrix in
problem.
and out.
We have got to do better. And Councilman Pfeiffer, Chairperson Pfeiffer, I look forward to working with you on this committee as we head up talking about crime and working with the administration. Thank you for your indulgence, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Burns. Ms. Worthing or Ms. Priestley, are you wishing to speak? Hearing nothing, I would just add that, just to echo Councilwoman Burns, is with
Pfeiffer said here ain't nothing. I was just
reporting, we have to know where we're at. It's not about trying to hide numbers. We got to own where we're at, and we have to be transparent with where we're at. And it was just odd that during the conversation about body cameras, there was 10 to 12 gunshots in fair proximity to my home that was ringing out when we were talking about body cameras. So it's an issue, and crime is affecting everyone in the city. So we have to know where we're at, and I would just make if we can make a referral to either Chief Green or someone in the administration to get the crime stats posted as soon as possible. They are missing. It has been noticed by the members of the public, so I'm not sure why they're missing, but if we can get those posted as soon as possible, that would be great.
Mr. Chair?
Miss Worthy.
Ms. Worthy. So sorry, I just forgot about Christelle Maroney's question about us going to council. Supposedly, yes, we're all going to go in person to council after this. I guess, unless I'm wrong, that's the answer.
Thank you, Ms. Worthing. I believe that is correct. Okay. And I believe we're on the special orders. Mr. Mays, you have a special order for 2 water ordinances. Do you want to keep that on, or do you want to discuss?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry about that. I had to unmute. I would ask that they stay on without objections, if you can order that. If there's objections, we'll deal with it.
No, I will order it to stay on without objection. On to ordinances 210495.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Mays.
Is that an ordinance moving for what, first reading?
That is, I believe, Madam Clerk, I believe that this was already first reading, correct?
So it's second reading and adoption. And the reason I asked, I'm not looking at my agenda.
If you send it to council, it would be for second reading and adoption. Yes.
Okay, I'll deal with it when we get there. Mr. Chairman, I would move it for second reading and adoption to council.
It's been moved to second reading and Ms. Herkenroder.
I'll second that motion.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. Go ahead. I'll yield the floor.
Ms. Herkenroder, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is there anybody from the administration who is still on the line to be able to answer a couple of questions?
This is Suzanne Wilcox. I am on the line.
Hi, Ms. Wilcox. I just have a couple of really quick questions for you regarding this. So I've reviewed the document, the initial document that was sent out for, I guess, the bid on this. I don't know if that's the proper term, but one of the things that it says in there is that the developer must have ownership of the property or have entered into a purchase agreement. I see that there's a purchase agreement in the packet, but it states that it's currently being reviewed by the seller's attorney. That was from a while ago. Do we have any updates about the purchase agreement?
I believe the purchase agreement has moved forward. I do not know if it's been fully executed. As you stated, this is from quite a while ago, and I can get that information for you. I'm not 100% sure. We won't grant, the city cannot grant a pilot until it has to go obviously to the owner of the property. So the pilot would not be granted except to the owner. So it doesn't, it has an impact for sure in terms of whether it's accurate or not, but we can't move forward until the actual owner entity owns that property.
Do you know how soon you might be able to get us the updated PSA?
I'll contact the developer tonight, and we'll see. Can get it to us pretty quickly if it's been effectuated, I'm sure.
So can we assume that we could, at the latest, have it by January 5th?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
If it's been fully executed, yeah.
Okay. And if not, can you provide us with an update on January 5th regardless?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Mays, you have the floor.
Yeah, real quick, Mr. Chairman, through you to Ms. Wilcox, you're saying this is a time-sensitive matter?
It's time sensitive in terms of what needs to be submitted. This is obviously gone through a different process. It has been submitted to MISTA for LIHTC credit, and the developer is waiting to hear whether these credits are granted. It was not, it was approved actually in the October round, so it's time sensitive in that matter, and that MISTA needs to, I'm sorry, it was not approved in the October round, so it would go likely to the next April round. So it's time sensitive in that they need to know for the application, but it's probably less time sensitive than it was before they submitted their application.
Yeah, well, I heard your answer, Ms. Wilcox, and I'm knowing when the next committee meeting is, and I'm hearing the request for information. I'm not going to stand in the way of it at this time. I'll see what my colleagues choose to do. If I hear any of them that want it postponed to then, I might join in. But I'm listening, and I'm looking, and I'm hearing. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Mays. Is there anyone else that wants to discuss 210495? In the first round. Is there anyone that wants to discuss 210495 in the first round?
This is Councilman Murphy. Can you hear me?
Councilman Murphy, you have the floor.
Thank you. This is to Suzanne Wilcox. Can you hear me, Suzanne?
I can.
Okay. So I was reading this. Is this for some? Can you explain what this is for? I mean, fires. Is this new housing development?
It is. This is a proposed new housing development in the location of the former Dodge Demonaway Funeral Home on Garland. The project is called 901 Flat, and this is a proposal. This is a proposal for a payment in lieu of taxes, which is a service charge in lieu of ad valorem taxes to the developer to help secure typically low-income housing tax credits from the state of MISTA. They're usually required in order to, some form of investment from the city is required to receive those low-income housing tax credits. And this developer has requested a 7% pilot so that they can support their LIHTC application to MISTA.
Okay. So, yeah, I just wanted to make sure I was clear what I was reading, and I did. I was looking at the plans and stuff. It looked like a beautiful housing development that you guys are planning on doing down up in that area. But what concerns me, Suzanne, is that when we looked at the redistricting of our wards, when you look at the first ward, the second ward, probably the third and fourth, we are losing population by the thousands. And when you look at how we redistricting, the third ward is probably going to be one of the biggest wars now because we have lost a lot of people. I think ours is like down to 7,000 and something. I'm not sure what the other wars was. I looked at it one time. I don't know where I got the information from, but it's very concerning to me that a lot of the housing development that is going on is around the downtown area. And if we keep going down this trajectory that we're going down, a lot of people are going to be continuing to move out, and we really populating the downtown Flint area. If you look at the focus area around where you guys are focusing on the housing development, when you look at the last 5 to 10,
Be right
15
back.
years of the housing development, you can count on your hand how much housing development that you have seen in the first ward. I don't know none in the second ward. I know it's not been any in the third ward. I know it's not been any in the fourth ward. And if we look at in the next 10 years, if we keep on going down this road that we're going down of these pilot programs that you guys are coming to council to support. My thing as a councilman for the third ward is I want to look at how do I repopulate the third ward. What do that look like to me? So that's a challenge that I have on my hand. So when I look at all of these pilot programs and all of this development that's coming in and around the downtown area corridor, we left with nothing. Some of us, I can't speak for the other wards, but I know this in my ward just riding around, there is just a lot of blighted houses and a lot of land that we could build on, and we could do some home ownership. And what also concerns me is that when we are doing housing development, they are rental. We don't have no ownership. We want to see, some of us want to see home ownership, because guess what home ownership does? Home ownership brings a tax base. It brings revenue to the city of Flint. If we could take some land and build houses, you built Smith Village, you built University Park. What happened when you built them? People bought it. They were affordable housing. Why are we not thinking about building home ownership? And why are we not looking at these neighborhoods that's been decreasing in population and trying to repopulate and equalize where we building at, so we can balance out the housing, the population, so that in 10 years when you do a census count, we ain't losing all of these people again. Because if we keep going down this trajectory, everybody is going to be populated in the downtown area. And I understand it seems like you guys are focusing on building inside out. So you're building downtown and you building all the way around, and then you build out, but we are suffering on the backs of you bringing rental affordable housing. And in a community that's predominantly African American, we not going to own nothing. All we going to own is renting every month. We need to focus on home ownership. So I'm not saying the projects that what y'all doing is a bad idea. I don't mind diversifying and having rental house, but what about us, and what about home ownership? And I don't know who thinking what, but there's no opportunity to buy a decent affordable house. That's what Quincy wants to see come as a pilot project. Let's do some pilot projects in a whole bunch in the north end and on the east side, and let's build some houses and see if we can get some people to own some houses over here in our neighborhood with all of this land. Other than that, y'all finna just take away all the people that we got, because people want decent housing, and I don't see no investment and no stabilizing the people housing that they got. So you strip us out and don't. And I'm wrapping up. You strip us out. Don't give us no money to help keep our housing, so they move out, and then they move into a rental house and they don't own nothing.
Thank you, Councilman Murphy. I'll go now if Ms. Priestley doesn't want to. And to be honest with you, Councilman Murphy, I would have let you go all day. because you were making my point exactly on the land bank housing. It's astounding that you made that speech just now, yet you're against letting people keep their house or getting the land bank houses back into the community.
Point of information.
What is your point of information, Mr. Murphy?
That's not accurate.
So I'll regain
point of order.
Yeah. What's your point of order, Mr. Mays?
Yeah, that's not a valid point of information. He just don't seem to get it. But
yeah.
That's my point of order.
Your point of order is, what's your point of information?
Does the speaker know that the houses that go to the land bank cannot be given back to the owner, that they are auctioned off, and the city would own them?
Yeah,
we kept them.
Regaining my time. The land bank is going to hold on to the houses forever. They've got 15 years of backlog. They sell 250. They demo less than 100. They have 15,000. They've got over 15 years of backlog. And yet here we are discussing an ordinance to give somebody a 50-year tax abatement. But we can't take a chance and move properties off of the land bank roll and put them back into the community. But yet, we want to move an ordinance to give somebody a 50-year tax abatement, which gives them $1.25 million on day one. That's their developer fee. On day one, they get $1.25 million. It's going to take us north of 30 years to get that in taxes from this unit. It's astounding that this body is even taking this up. Each unit, they are saying, is going to cost over $215,000 to build. That's a money scam. Everywhere you look, you build in the city of Flint, you can't build a unit for less than $215,000. They're taking money from the community that would pay in taxes, and they're putting it in their pocket. This is a land scam all day long, tax abatement. Take the city of Flint residents' property, that take their property taxes. You know, there's a certain person that's probably listening in public, and he used to say, those who stay will pay. No more is that more certain than now. We are going to keep giving tax abatements that's going to cost the ones that stay will end up paying. And we're moving on to the second round. Does anybody wish to speak in the second round?
Yes.
Yeah, Madam Mr. Chairman.
I think I heard Mr. Councilman Murphy first.
Yes. Let me explain to the listening audience and to some of my colleagues that have an ear to hear. My experience, I've been working with the land bank for a while, and I know some people don't like it. I have some family members that have recently purchased homes from the land bank and fixed them up. I got a house 2 doors down from me that my friend brought in rehabbing. The house next door to me, the land bank owned, somebody just brought it. It's a house on Susan Street somebody brought and fixed up. So that's my experience with the land bank. And I think some people done had some, maybe they tried to purchase some houses from the land bank and didn't get it. So their experience ain't been a good, and I'm not saying my whole experience with the land bank been peaches and cream. If we done been in some heated conversations, what happens is if a renter is staying in a land bank home, the land bank has a program already set up. Councilman Murphy is not interested in
reinventing the wheel. If we have a system already in place, I'd rather work with that system than try to create something else. The city of Flint don't have the capacity. The land bank does have the capacity. What we could do is sit down with Michael Freeman and Renetta Speed and Christina Kelly and those who work in the land bank and see how we can strengthen what they have to make it better. What happens is if an owner lose a house from the land bank and the renter is living in it, the land bank gives that person the option to rent on land contract. How do I know? Because 217 or 209, whatever address that is down the street from me, they did it. When I do the clean and green program and I find they give me a new list every year, I go to the resident and I say, hey, you know, they don't own this house no more. Y'all want to negotiate a land contract? So to my colleagues and to the people that's listening, do not believe the hype. The land bank have a program already in place to rent on land contract the house if you are a renter. Do not believe some of my colleagues that tell y'all they don't have nothing in place. Yes, they do. And I don't care what they call me. I don't care what they say about Councilman Murphy.
We gotta tune out the city council after this one.
In place,
I gotta give you about 20 minutes and I gotta get off.
The land bank.
I gotta address Mr. Murphy.
And y'all doing wordsmiths. Y'all telling these people that the land bank ain't working with people, and I know for a fact they is, and I can bring y'all some addresses and show y'all some proven track records of land bank working with people to rehab their homes. If y'all go tell the truth, tell the truth. Y'all experience may not been good. But for Quincy, Councilman Murphy, my experience been good with the Clean and Green program. My experience been good with getting residents with the side lot programs, making sure that they combine their taxes into one, serving on the board of review. So it's another way you can skin the cat. And Quincy not finna sit up here and let y'all just keep on talking about the land bank like the land bank just ain't no good. When the city of Flint owned the properties, the city of Flint wasn't no good neither. That's why they created the land bank to have somebody else to come and take care of them properties. Because Quincy been out here fighting for these properties for a long time. So while y'all out there talking because y'all experience ain't good, that's not my experience. And I'm going to work with the land bank and give these people these properties, but I'm not willing to work with the city and bring it back in when they done already ran up to the podium and told us they didn't have the capacity. I'm done.
Come on, big boy.
Mr. Mays, floor is yours.
Going down there.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I just like for my colleagues, all of those who support the bogus motions and try to show off and rule me out order.
Before we shut it down?
Mr. Murphy said one thing about this motion that's on the floor. He gave an expose on the land bank. Some of the stuff I think with the land bank, he should recuse himself because he's got a conflict if he's on the advisory board. We'll get to that. But as far as me doing a point of order, is a Jermaine, Tito, Jackie, I just listen to people. And I listen very well. And I listen to counsel. Look, Miss Wilcox, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Ms. Wilcox, do you recall me talking about community benefit agreements as it relates to some of this activity?
No, out. Out. Get out.
I do recall a discussion about community benefits. I don't recall what it was in relation to.
Yeah, under the old council, I said when these tax abatements and service fees in lieu of properties come, I did a cutoff point. I said I'm gonna be serious about community benefit agreements, and so I'm gonna live up to that. This new council might not have heard the spiel. They're hearing part of it now. I won't waste this time in these long committee meetings, and we got another meeting. Mr. Chairman, I was kind of on the road making my transition from my first ward home down to City Hall. I'm outside at the parking garage, so that's why I listen close. But I tell you, you're 100% right when you use the comparison of this action and the homeowner speech that we heard. I'm here to tell you, some people just don't get it. Maybe they're conflicted. Maybe they should recuse themselves. In this case, Mr. Murphy specifically, who I'm referring to, and you're 100% right. You can build ranch-style houses on 3 lots. I've advocated that for years. Miss Claire McClin came on and she talked about rehab versus demolition. I've talked to people at Job Corps, and for a council to understand these type of proposals, neglect to talk about community benefit agreements, don't understand the parallel as it relates to us controlling our property and home ownership, don't want to compromise. You want them all, they want none. The answer is somewhere in between, whether it's 1, 10, 20, or 30. All of that intellectual talk. We don't have the capacity. If you ain't got the capacity for 1, it's piss poor. If you ain't got the capacity of 10, it's piss poor. You got to really have common sense and logic and the ability to compromise and listen and sort some of this stuff out. And so, Mr. Piper, I made the motion to move it to council. That don't tell you how I'm going to vote at council. And so, I'll be voting yes to move it to council. I'll get to council. Time permits. If the staff is here, we'll talk about community benefit agreements. I'll keep listening to this hypocritical rhetoric that I'm hearing, or a lack of understanding as it relates to property control, home ownership, policy, and procedures when we get to that governmental operations agenda. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Mays.
Go on, get in there.
Councilwoman Herkenreuter.
I'll let y'all out in 5 minutes. Let me go get.
Thank you so much. I totally understand the questions and the confusion that have been raised here tonight regarding this pilot application. I think that pilots in general have had a false narrative around them as far as what they can or cannot do for housing people in the community, as well as providing tax income for communities. So I understand the concerns regarding the developer fee being at $1.5 million, but I would also question if my colleague noticed that the developer is also deferring over $2 million in developer fees and has leveraged other funding sources to be able to help lower that fee to build these 60 apartments for our community. In regards to my colleague in the Third Ward's question regarding the development happening in the downtown area, there are certain qualifications within different funding sources, particularly through MISHDA, which is the State Housing Authority, where there needs to be a certain criteria met regarding walkability or amenities. As we all know, or hopefully all know, in the north end of Flint, unfortunately, many of the amenities that MISHDA is looking for are just simply not there because we have not developed them yet, with a hard emphasis on that yet.
While this is fresh on my mind, I'm gonna hit y'all up for a couple minutes, and then I'm gonna head on out.
I know I've mentioned
get
before
downtown.
but
as far as Liddell Lewis, how she addressed me, I'm just gonna go back to my mock college days. No excuses. We're gonna leave it there. No excuses. Quincy Murphy is cross talking. 1 minute he for home ownership, next minute he talking about land bank rent contracts. No, give those renters those houses. Let them pay taxes to stay in those houses. Don't let them continue to pay rent. As soon as they don't pay rent, they're homeless. Once again, like I said, get these houses up and running. You got people that work in Hurley. They don't pay rent, they're homeless. Let them own a house. Like I said, You got people that work at Lear that don't own a house. Give them one. You got policemen that don't own houses. Give them one. You got people that work in McLaren. Give them one. You got people with great rental history in all of these apartment complexes. Give them one. Let them pay taxes to keep a roof over their head. Not once they have one bad month, they're homeless. Real talk. That's just keep it real. That's what it's all about. Flatten some of these spots and put drop houses in those spots. Even if that means changing the master plan. It's time to get busy. It's time to get busy. And it sounds like we got city council people that, man, I'm very disturbed. I'm very disturbed. When I heard that they don't have the time, so hire somebody, very disturbed. Very disturbed. Because like I said, I done read it myself. I can do it. She didn't take time to read those 46 pages yet? She ain't had time to learn the rules yet? And I am an advocate for the city council to make $100,000 a year, but not them. I ain't finna fight. I'm sorry, Eric. You got 5 more years, bro. I was ready to stand up there and start fighting. I'll be darned if I fight for them to get $100,000 a year. No. No, I can't do that. But I was ready. I was ready to, because I think that the city council do deserve $100,000, but not them, not their ideology. No, 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 no. You got hired for the money? You are part-time? You are part-time? That was your answer? Whew, I can't wait till tomorrow come. I really want to see how they feel about this budget he about to throw in their face. Well, man, let me let these dogs out. You can keep me on or whatever, but I'm gonna let these dogs out, put them up, then I'm heading down to City Hall.
I'm gonna just let City Council roll then.
Okay.
You'll still be on here. I'm gonna let City Council roll. Yep.
Okay.
I'm gonna mute your mic.
And numbers of people who are currently experiencing homelessness. As a refresher, in October, there were over 250 people in our community who were experiencing homelessness. This is an opportunity to be able to help put people into housing at an affordable rate, in addition to market rate. That's another thing too with Pilot. It's affordable and market rate. So right now, the current taxes on this property are $9,900. With this pilot, the city would be getting $29,000 every year just in a payment from this program. That doesn't count the estimated taxes that could come from this development too, which is upwards of $150,000. So I understand the confusion of pilots. I understand that they have had, a false narrative around them in the past. With my background in housing and having worked for the Flint Housing Commission, I understand a lot more about the needs that we have in this community, particularly relating to affordable housing. And then my final point is in regards to the home ownership and the difference between home ownership from the land bank homes and this pilot is that this pilot will come with property management and process, and we'll have people being able to manage the lease, being able to manage the apartments, the move-ins, the move-outs, the maintenance, things that the city of Flint simply cannot handle right now. Again, I'm saying right now. We have the opportunity to build up our capacity and to be able to create real and valuable change. And I'm very confident that this body can do that, but we need to start taking steps to be able to house those people who currently are experiencing homelessness. If we want to talk about a community benefits agreement, then we need to make sure that people have a safe place to live so that they can, thrive instead of survive. Is it an ideal solution? Probably not, but it's a solution and it's a way to help get us to a thriving community. So that being said, I wholeheartedly support pilots. I wholeheartedly support housing, and I wholeheartedly support making it so that our community has accessible housing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Hertenroder. Is there anyone else that would wish to speak on this? Thank you. Is there anyone else that would? I'm sorry, who was that?
Ms. Priestley?
Ms. Priestley, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. I've been listening very carefully to everything that my colleagues are speaking about because that's how I think I learn. And I also hear their answers, their responses that they receive. Now, my understanding of this ordinance is that it is specific for this one property. So if for some reason this property falls through, it just doesn't take effect. Is that correct? Am I understanding that correctly?
Who are you?
Who is your? To anyone who can answer it again.
Are you asking Ms. Wilcox that?
Yes, please, Ms. Wilcox.
That is correct.
Okay, so
that is correct, Councilwoman Priestley. If the pilot is not awarded LIHTC credits, if the owner falls through, if the property doesn't transfer, if any of those things happen, this pilot is project specific and owner specific. And the same thing is true, excuse me, for if a pilot is awarded and a new owner entity takes over, the pilot has to be transferred. So any change to the existing pilot agreement would have to come back before this council, before city council, before that could take effect. So yes, that's, I guess, a long-winded answer, a long-winded way of saying yes, that's true.
Thank you very much, because I just wanted that clarification. Yes.
Are you all done, Ms. Priestley?
Yes,
Okay.
I am. Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak on ordinance 210495?
Chairperson Pfeiffer, this is Davina.
Hi, Davina.
Hi. I just wanted to clarify the process a little bit on this ordinance, if I may.
Yes, please.
Okay. It's on your committee agendas today. I just want to make sure that everyone understands that it was on your December 13th agenda for a second reading with a public hearing. And at that time, we did hold a public hearing, and it was moved back to committees. So the reason why I'm pointing that out is because on your council agenda, it says that it's on for second reading, may be referred from committees. It should actually be on for first reading, may be referred from committees. So basically that just means if you guys don't make any changes right now, because you moved it back to committees, if you don't change it and it goes back to council in the same format, it would be on for first reading. You'd acknowledge for first reading. But we
Point of information. Mr. Chairman, point of information through you to Davina. Davina, are you telling me that the information for second reading is not accurate? This is for first reading.
Yes, for it to come from committees, it always goes back to first reading. And if you don't make any changes, you know, we've gone through it. We've already had the hearing. And I'm basing this on precedent. If you don't make any changes, you still would acknowledge for first reading, and then we would just have it on for second reading on a future agenda without having to have a public hearing again. So if you move it to council today, you're actually going to move it for first reading, acknowledge it for first reading, and state that we don't have any changes. That way we don't have to republish the hearing, you don't have to hold another hearing, but it'll have to show up on the next council agenda for second reading and adoption. So you won't be adopting it. You won't be adopting it today, even if you don't make any changes.
No, I feel guilty getting in the people's way. Let them go, and then I'll come back. You will.
Mr. Mays, please mute yourself.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure that that was clarified, that you've already had a public hearing on this document. As long as you don't make any changes today and you send it back to council again, it would be acknowledging for first reading again, so that we can just have it on for a second reading without having to republish and have a public hearing.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
What's your point of order?
Yeah, we can fix this motion up later as we proceed through this motion, but, you know, we had asked, was it first or second, so we'll fix it. You understand?
Yes.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak on the second round for ordinance 210495? The motion on the floor is to send it to council for first reading.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Mr. Mays.
Yeah, if I haven't spoken on the second round, I would do an amended motion that we move this to council for first reading, and I so move.
There's been a motion to move this to council, an amended motion to move this to council for first reading. Is there a second?
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Herkenroder?
I'll second that motion.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Mays, floor is yours.
I can appreciate our staff, Davina, and that's why I want to know first or second reading. It makes a big difference if it's second reading and adoption versus first reading. It gives us another bite at the apple as it relates to some of the concerns. It might not change much for me, but I can appreciate that. Thank you, Davina. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm done.
Thank you, Mr. Mays. Is there any other comments on ordinance 210495? Any other comments on the first round? Hearing none, is there any comments on the second round? Any comments on the second round? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call.
Mr. Mays?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Ms. Priestley?
Yes.
Ms. Winfrey Carter? Ms. Burns?
Yes.
Ms. Herkenroder?
Yes.
Mr. Pfeiffer?
No.
Ms. Worthing?
Yes.
Vote is 7 yes, 1 no.
The vote is 7 yes, 1 no. It moves to council for first reading. We are on to outstanding discussion items.
Mr. Chair?
First, Councilwoman Herkenroder.
Worthing.
I'm sorry, Worthing.
I make a motion to postpone all discussion items until the next committee meeting.
There is a motion to postpone all discussion items until the next meeting. Is there a second?
This is Councilman Murphy. I second it.
It's been properly seconded. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Councilwoman Herkenroder.
my only question is in regards to discussion item 210563. It's in regards to this ordinance. It looks like Mr. Mays was the person who put it on the agenda. I don't know if we need to postpone that or if there are still any lingering questions.
Is there any more discussion on the motion to postpone? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call.
Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Ms. Priestley,
Yes.
Ms. Winfrey Carter, Ms. Burns,
Yes.
Ms. Birkenroder,
Yes.
Mr. Pfeiffer,
Yes.
Ms. Worthing,
Yes.
Mr. Mays.
Yes.
Vote is 8 yes, 0 no.
The vote is 8 yes, 0 no.
Mr. Chair?
I will, yes, ma'am.
Oh, go ahead. You can state the vote. Sorry.
No, I already did.
Oh, okay.
I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
That's exactly what I was going to do. So moved.
It's been properly moved. Is there a second?
Mr. Chair?
Councilwoman Priestley.
I'd second that motion.
It's been moved and properly seconded. There's no discussion. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Ms. Priestley,
Yes.
Ms. Winfrey Carter, Ms. Burns, Ms. Burns,
I apologize. I am trying to get in. I abstain. I'm on my way to City Hall. I did not hear it, so I abstain.
Ms. Birkenroder,
Yes.
Mr. Pfeiffer,
Yes.
Worthing,
Yes.
Mr. Mays,
Yes.
Ms. Lewis.
Yes.
The vote is 7 yes, 1 abstention.
The vote is 7 yes, 1 abstention. This meeting is adjourned.
Yeah. Ms. Lewis, is you ready to chair the governmental ops if Ms. Winfrey Carter ain't here?
Yes.
Okay, then you could call governmental operations to order.
All right. It is Wednesday, December the 20th at approximately 10:13 p.m. and the Governmental Operations Committee is now in order. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Mays,
Present.
Ms. Lewis,
Present.
Mr. Murphy,
Present.
Ms. Priestley,
Present.
Ms. Winfrey Carter, Ms. Burns,
Present.
Ms. Birkenroder,
Present.
Mr. Pfeiffer,
Present.
Ms. Worthing.
Present.
There are 8 in attendance.
All right, 8 members in attendance. So the member remote announcement. Pursuant to the newly revised Open Meetings Act, each council member shall state that they are attending the meeting remotely and shall state where he or she is physically located, county or city and state. So go ahead.
Mr. Mays? Mr. Mays?
Yeah, thank you. I'm attending this meeting remotely from City Hall in the city of Flint, Michigan.
Ms. Lewis?
I'm attending remotely from Flint, Michigan.
Mr. Murphy?
I'm attending this meeting remotely from my house on the 3rd Ward.
Priestley?
I'm attending remotely from Flint, Michigan.
Ms. Winfrey Carter? Ms. Burns?
This is Councilwoman Tanya Burns, attending remotely from the city of Flint on my way to City Hall.
Ms. Hickenroder,
Attending remotely in Flint, Michigan.
Mr. Pfeiffer,
Attending remotely from Michigan.
Ms. Worthing,
Attending remotely, Flint, Michigan.
thank you.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. So the reading of disorderly person city code subjection. So section 3110, disorderly conduct, assault and battery and disorderly persons, and will be subject to arrest for a misdemeanor. Any person who prevents the peaceful and orderly conduct of any meeting will be given one warning. If they persist in disrupting the meeting, the individual will be subject to arrest. Violators shall be removed from the meeting. So with that being said, Madam Clerk, first public speaker.
The first caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council. The next caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council. The next caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council. The next caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council. The next caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council. The next caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council. The next caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. This is Ray Hall from the 5th Ward, and like I said before, I mean no disrespect to no one or what's going on around here. Period. There's if you believe in truth, if you believe in justice, that's who I am. That's why I'm into this right here. We got poisoned by that water when they did what they did, and then they got $30 million when they dropped all the charges and everything. You know, it made me realize what I have to do as a person. You know, one person can't do this. It's a lot of things that one person can do because I've seen it with my own eyes because I'm doing it. As I said before, you don't have to stop what you're doing. This part-time job, all your council seats is about to get real hot because it's really lit around here in Flint. And it's a lot of corruption going on. People are dying over what's going on here. And you acting like everything is normal when it's not. You know, and I'm not going to be the one that's going to set the fire, but I'm sure putting a spark of Flint in it. And the name of the thing is that I am not the Negro, colored, black, or the African American. I am of the original people of this land. I am not your Native American. I am not your colonizer. I am not the one finna bring you the problem. The problem is yours because Flint is a municipality, 1822. That means that all your jobs you can lose. You're going to lose your position, no matter how much you got your ego on your shoulder. Things are really happening around here. Don't you see the universe is moving? But anyway, the reason I speak about Taliban in Afghanistan is because just like the shot, do you know what you're getting? You know what you're getting with your own people and who you are. You know what you're getting there, but you don't know when you're bringing people from over where the water's been poisoned, the land's been poisoned, now they're poisoning the air. Now they're bringing over what? The Taliban. You know, you could call them Afghanistan or whatever, but here I am telling you I'm the original people of the land, and I'm claiming Devil's Lake. Let's see how part-time you be then when I start putting things in place. The city of Flint is going to get sued by the EPA, period, because of the water that's messed up. The lake hasn't been cleaned in over 50 years. You're not doing anything but arguing with each other and showing your ego. But I'll go from there. Thank you.
The next caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council. The next caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council. The next caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council. The next caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council. The next caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council.
Yes, this is Dr. Woodson. I'm going to say this real slow. We need to keep our houses, not this time, but we need to start working on the plan right now, so that we can start keeping our houses like all other municipalities around the city of Flint who keeps their property and then end up auctioning it off themselves, because the money, land bank does not supposed to be a realtor. They do not supposed to be landlords. They don't supposed to be any of those. We tried to purchase a house. That house is still sitting with no one there. We can do that ourselves. They don't suppose to, I want to give you $12,000, and then they want to say, no, we don't want to collect your cash. We'll give you a land contract, but we're not going to accept your cash. No, that's not right. But here's the problem that I have. I said something earlier, and no one asked. We sitting up here arguing about $47 million when there's $50 million sitting down at the state that was allocated or appropriated for the city of Flint. No one asking about that. No one asking, can y'all bring the treasurer down here in front of the city council and find out why that money is still sitting down at the state of Michigan? No one's asking that. Y'all sit back and listen to all this other riffraff, and then y'all, tune in to the shiny object. Instead of talking about something, 47 million been here since May 19th, and we got 50 million that's been sitting down at the state. That's $100 million. Let's talk about that 50 million too, not just 147 million ARPA funds. Let's talk about the water funds too. Let's talk about the COC. Let's talk about the community block grants. No one has asked Susan Wilcox where we are with the community block grants yet. Nobody. Let's talk about the money. Don't wait for the administration to send you a bunch of lies with their lawless selves. Take the initiative to do it right now so that the administration can't lie to you when they bring it. Thank you.
The next caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council. The next caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council.
Hello?
Yes.
Hi, this is Barbara Morgan. And first of all, I would like to address what was said pertaining to me. And I comprehend very well. You don't have to call my name to know, for me to know that you are referring to me. Mr. Dwayne Richardson called in, calling me ignorant, saying that I had health issues. He needs to focus on himself. If I'm so ignorant, why are you focused on me? I mean, focus on yourself, because it's not a solution to address me. It said that I don't bring solutions. It's not a solution when you want me to be quiet, because I'm not going to be quiet. And I'm not just talking just to be talking. I'm talking out of concern for the citizens of Flint. I was born and raised in Flint, have relatives in Flint, and the people that's talking on Facebook or on a live chat, they're not standing up for Flint. The residents of Flint have come conditioned to being mistreated. And so they don't speak out about what's going on with them. And I really empathize for them, because they shouldn't have to suffer on a continuous basis for nonsense. And as far as this compliance firm is concerned, anybody can spend money, but it's about spending it appropriately. This money is like no other money. And if you do wrong, then you're going to have to pay a high price. And people on that council that don't want a compliance firm in there, and I'm not saying that everybody don't want one, but there are those that don't want one because they want to implement their own agenda. And the thing is, Mayor Neely, he's the mayor. And like I said, you're going to stay at a stalemate. If you don't do something, You can't make him do what you want him to do, and you making the citizens suffer. Nothing can happen unless you get this compliance firm in there. I'm wrapping up. Whether it be them or another firm, you need to get somebody in there. Thank you.
The next caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council.
Hi, my name's Dan Brisson. I'd like to talk about the expansiveness of your county government. It seemed like it should be shrunk and like other states have. Just relegate them to the jails, stop the duplication of services, and move the resources back to the town. Yeah, you'll be running the land bank because you'll be getting the funding, you'll be getting the grants, so forth and so on. And I haven't heard anybody say they were against a firm, compliance firm. It's just the amount. That's the problem we had. The mayor added $200,000 to a $40 million budget. City council vetoed it. The plan's in place, but they had to take from this one and that one, and the city council wasn't going to stand for it. They weren't going to pay that much when it was already vetted by senators who wrote the laws and federal representatives who wrote the laws. And I know none of you don't want a compliance officer. You just don't want to get raked over the coals. Like I think Mr. Pfeiffer said, what was it, $500 million for a person or something? Yeah, 500,000. I'm sorry. Have a good meeting. Thank you.
The next caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council. The next caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council.
Yes, thank you. My name is Christelle Maroney, and I live in Flint, Michigan. I need to reiterate what I'm trying to tell council in regards to the assessment division lowering the income threshold to qualify for property tax relief. Council, you can raise the asset value from $10,000 to whatever dollar amount you wish. And for sake of argument, I'll say that is a good thing to do. But the crux of the matter is this. If people don't qualify based on their income, it doesn't matter what that asset level is. It could be 10,000, 15, 100,000. It's the income level that drives it. It had been set at 21,000 for a single person, and it would increase based on the number in the household. If it's lowered to around 17 or 18, fewer people will qualify. It won't even matter what their asset value is. You should be getting more people to qualify, or at least the same number, or let me say at least the same income threshold of 20 or 21,000. I would even say index that every year and change it based on the inflation rate, which is used to increase the taxable value on the property. Now, I've been on the Board of Review for well over a decade now. I think I have a fairly good understanding. The assessor's department is trying to get more people to not qualify, thereby increasing the amount of tax revenue to the city. You can say that more revenue to the city is good, but those who come before the Board of Review are really hurting financially. I'm talking $500, $600 a month, maybe only for income. But I'll talk more about this, but you need to work on the income.
Point of information.
Yes.
What is your point of information?
Through you to the speaker, you saying it should be around 21?
Yes, that is what it is now. 20,000 and some dollars, near 21. And the problem with even with that, that stays stagnant. It doesn't increase every year unless council takes action to increase it. But yes, you want to try and get more people to qualify, and the more that qualify, I would argue that would be better for those particular citizens. But I'll take more questions or whatever.
Are you done, Mr. Del Maroni?
Oh, yeah, yes, I'm done. Yeah, I just didn't know if anyone had any other questions or if that was a satisfactory answer for Eric there, Councilman Eric.
Okay. The next caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council.
Hello, is it me?
Yes.
Yes, my name is Zachary Harrison, 3rd Ward. Hello?
Go ahead.
Okay, I would like to go along with Mr. Del Marone there that about resolution 210588. It seems like that'll be a good resolution to help seniors keep their homes. Like I said before, a lot of residents of Flint are seniors. They're retirees of Buick and Chevrolet. Some of them, I mean, you can go back to the 70s, and they're still in Flint. My parents are one of them. Some of them, and they love Flint. But with the taxes and the property taxes and the water bills and stuff that's going on, they need some relief. A lot of cities, I'm a GM retiree myself. I worked in a lot of cities, and a lot of cities and states that I've worked in, they've had tax abatements or tax relief or what they call homestead acts for property taxes for seniors. It's maybe $1,000 a year just off the whole thing. You may pay $5,000, they'll give you $1,000 off of that. So, I think this hardship deal is a good deal. The income issue is an issue. The assets, like I said before, the assets to what they make is an issue that needs to be looked at. The ownership relationship, is an issue. If they can't, my parents own. I wrap it up. My parents own property next to them that's not tied to their home, but it's their property, and all of that would go back to me if something was to happen to them, and that's the ownership relationship and living outside of the house and all of that. So a lot of that has to be looked at. Thank you.
The next caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council. Next caller has been unmuted if they'd like to speak to council.
Yes, how are you doing? My name is Richard Jones, and once again, I'm going to iterate on this housing thing. Man, I think we should keep all the houses. We should fight land banks for whatever grants they're getting to not do whatever they're not doing. We got a lot of brilliant minds. We got a lot of brilliant ideas. We got a lot of skilled people. Mr. Murphy, I ain't with land bank rental contracts. I ain't with that. I'm with giving those people those homes that they're renting that have been foreclosed.
No money going to no land bank on no rental contract. It is much easier to pay your taxes than it is a monthly rental fee. I agree with you, we must stop building apartments. We need to be building homes, putting people that work in Hurley Hospital in those homes, putting people that work in McLaren hospitals in those homes, putting people who have good rental history and no police involvement that who have been renting apartments forever in those homes. It's time out for playing. And Miss Lewis, I don't care how you take this, but no excuses. No excuses. You want to spend $4 million because you don't got the time, you got the ability, you got the skill, but you don't have the time. Your lack of time is worth $4 million. Y'all need to watch what y'all be saying.
And failing infrastructure underneath Miller Road next year, notably the water main, which services all of the old homes up and down Miller Road and at least 4 to 5 schools full of children in this neighborhood. A water main that I infer at least partially serviced the toxic Chevy in the hole. Tiny little Fenton just replaced their Miller Road through their downtown, which is Shiawassee Street. Old street lined with very old homes and old infrastructure underneath, just like Miller Road. Fenton replaced all the infrastructure underneath while they did, because of course that's what responsible city leadership does. It is not just apathetic, it is reckless that they're planning to tear up all of Miller and not touch the old pipes underneath. If you don't care about us residents, at least be mindful of the children in all these schools. Article, Shiawassee Street construction in Fenton. Fenton is repairing and updating a water main along the corridor in advance of street repaving scheduled to begin in mid to late September. And then she provides a link, and that's from Michelle Harrison. And that's it, Madam Chairperson.
All right, thank you so much, Madam Clerk. So now it's time for council response. So do we have any council members that would like to respond to the speakers?
Yeah, Madam Chair.
Yes, Councilman Mays.
Yeah, Madam Chair, to the written communications, you're exactly right, ma'am. We should do all of our due diligence to see what we can do with infrastructure dollars as we replace roads. Been saying it, been knowing it, see how in some cases you can do it, and I don't call it micromanaging. I just call it good government. So I can appreciate your communications. I can appreciate Rich Jones, what you're saying, Mr. Woodson, what you're saying. And that's really the business of the city. When it comes to building homes rather than tear them down, Miss Claire McClinton spoke on it. Excuse me, I'm an advocate of it. People can talk all sophisticated that they want. We don't have the capacity. Now, that sounds kind of foolish when you have the authority and ability to start a program this year, next year. I've been hearing that next year excuse for 8 years that I've been on here, and some people on here don't even know it. When you're trying to compromise, people must be really, their antenna must go up, and I'll get into it more, but the antenna must go up when people feel we can't rehab 1 home, 2 homes, 10 homes with partners in the community, dollars allocated for it, so forth and so on. So you just got a bunch of people sometimes who they talk intelligent, but they don't have common sense. I got a good friend of mine. He said, Mays, you can build a rocket ship, but you don't have common sense. And I laugh and joke with him. And that's what I'm listening and looking at. I hope that the residents can hear in these public meetings folks with logical and common sense as we compromise on the business of the city at hand. Thank you.
All right. Do we have any more response from council members?
This is Councilman Murphy. Can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Councilman Murphy.
I would like to put a referral in, or is Suzanne Wilcox still on the line?
I am. I'm still here.
Suzanne, those 18 homes that you guys pulled from the land bank, do you know what the status is? Do you have those addresses? Could you get me those addresses so I could look and see where those addresses at? One of the things I wanted to know, since those 18 homes been pulled, have they been sold to the residents? If they haven't been sold to the residents, is the residents that's living in that house paying taxes on the house if the city of Flint owns that property, because we haven't disposed of those properties? So I know we want to do, we wanted to pull some properties. So could you answer me that question? Do you know if those 18 homes that were sold, how many of them have been sold to the residents that live in those homes?
I do have, to your first question, I do have a list of those properties. You're correct. There are 18. I can provide you that with a status update, and to my knowledge, none of them have been sold.
So my question is, are they paying taxes in them houses while they live in there, or are they just living there and not paying taxes at all?
The city is actually the property owner for these 18 properties. Not all of them are residential. Some of them are commercial, as you know. So I would defer to Stacy, but I don't believe anyone is paying taxes because technically the city is the owner of these properties.
So we pull some properties that some people may be living in, and no one is paying taxes, so they don't have to pay rent or taxes. Just living in the house for free, right?
They're not paying taxes. They're not paying any assessments, any garbage, any streetlight assessments. There's no income coming into the city from these properties at this time because they're still under city ownership.
Do you know how long it's been since you guys been in that status?
The first property was pulled in 2016. As you know, it was Jefferson School. And then properties were subsequently pulled in 2017, 2018, and then in 2019, they were actually purchased from the Genesee County Treasurer in the March auction as opposed to the December auction.
Okay. Can you give me a list of those addresses?
Yeah, through the city administrator, we can provide that to you.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's all I have.
So I'm a little ahead of y'all because I've been listening to on the phone also. So
Muted.
Hopefully we'll be going in soon.
So, now, do we have everyone muted?
Madam Chair, we on time constraints.
All right, thank you so much. So my phone was dropped, so now I'm back connected. Thank you so much. Do we have any more speakers? Any more council members that would like to speak? One more time, any more council people that would like to give a response? All right, so I will definitely give my response now. So again, thank you for you all that are staying for this marathon meeting. Definitely, we are covering a lot of ground, and thank you for all the callers that gave their insight. I just want to address one thing that Mr. Wilson said. Mr. Wilson spoke on some money that the state had on our behalf. So I know I might not have spoke on that. So I do apologize, but I'm definitely looking into those things. We have a lot of fires to put out, a lot of things that we're looking into.
This session is no longer being recorded.
So we have a lot of fires to put out, a lot of things that we're looking into. So just like you hear a lot of ad hoc committees being formed.
Point of order. Point of order. Point of order. Can you hold on until the recording is resumed?
All right, point of order recognized, and I sure can. Thank you.
The recording has started. Muted. The recording has started.
Okay, thank you so much, Davina. All right, so my whole point is, yeah, we definitely have a lot of fires to put out. We have a lot of different committees to look at. We just have a lot of things going on. So what we need to do, we need to be mindful that we have a lot on our plate as council people, and we are diligently working to put out those fires. So back to Mr. Woodson, yes, I do know that we have state money. Also, I know that we have county money. But again, we're still trying to handle how to do city money. So we have a lot of things. So yes, I hear you, and I am working to see what we can do regarding those dollars. So thank you for being diligent and just re-bringing that up. All right, so I believe that concludes the council response. So now we are on to resolutions. So I will entertain a motion to pass the master resolution.
Well, I'm live here at City Hall now, so I'm a little ahead of y'all because I've been listening to on the phone also. So
Point of order, Madam Chair. Right. So, Janelle, do we have everyone muted?
Yes, I don't understand what happened.
Pardon?
Yes, he is muted. I don't understand why we could hear him.
Okay. Thank you so much. All right. So now I'll go ahead.
So moved.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Madam Chair.
Yes. Councilperson Herkenroder.
I'll second that motion.
All right. So we have a motion that is moved and properly second. Any discussion?
Yeah, Madam Chair. There's
please hold, Mr. Mays. Mr. Mays.
Yeah. Are you giving me the floor?
Yes, you have the floor now.
Okay. This master resolution would include, I guess, 3 resolutions: the memorandum dealing with the Children's Museum, the guidelines for granting the hardship exemptions, and the objection to the transfer of tax-reverted property. Is that accurate?
Yes, that is included in the master resolution. And my apologies that I didn't name them one by one. But yes, those are included.
And the appointment is not, I would guess. And so I raised these issues in this discussion because, this council voted to take up the objection to the transfer of tax-reverted property. I want to separate that.
Okay.
On the resolution dealing with the Children's Museum, is the lady from the Children's Museum still on the line? Through you, Madam Chair, to Janelle, if we know.
1 second, Mr. Mays. I just want to be clear. So you said resolution 210588. You like to separate?
No, I said 210590. The objection as it relates to the tax reverted property.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
And now I'm asking is the lady from the Children's Museum on the line as it relates to 210491.
No, she is not. She left.
Okay, I would say this to the council. If you look at the state law as it relates to tax reverted property, and I think without even looking at the numbers, MCL 211.78M, subsection 6. It talks about the city's right of first refusal as it relates to that tax reverted property.
Was that Councilman Murphy?
Yes.
Okay, what is your point of order?
Yes. Are we on separation of the agenda, the master resolution separation, or are we on discussion of the resolutions right now?
Well, right now we are on separation, so thank you for that. And I believe that was that was the point of order. So yes, so we are currently separating. So Mr. Mays, so can you just hold the comment till we get to that part?
Madam Chair, I don't want to appeal you, but we on a motion that's been made and properly seconded.
Okay, we're hearing that we are on the motion that has been made and properly seconded. And you said that you wanted to separate 210590, correct?
Yeah, but he interrupted me with a point of order, and I'm waiting for you to rule on it properly.
Well, to my knowledge, we have not moved to discuss it yet, correct?
Madam Chair, we're on a motion that's been made and properly seconded. That takes us to discussion. I don't know why you're trying to bend over backwards for that point of order, but once you rule on it, you gave me the floor. I'll take my decision and see what you do from here as you listen to his point of order.
Okay, well, Mr. Murphy, let's see, according to the...
I'll rescind my point of order so that he can continue on with his discussion.
Okay, so as of right now, go ahead. Yes, Ms. Worthing.
Did we finish separating? Did you ask if anyone else had any?
No, we did not.
It's okay. So we do that first, and then he can discuss the resolution.
Okay, so let me go ahead and defer to, is the city attorney on the line?
Here we go.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, hi. So just wanted to make sure that we are doing this properly. So we are in the process of separation. So before we go into any discussion.
Point of order.
What is your point of order? And please state the rule that was broken.
We're in the middle of discussion on a motion that's been made and properly seconded. That's my point of order, and I have the floor. A point of order, if this gonna help you rule on it, go ahead. But that's my point of order. It ain't nothing can change that.
Mr. Mays, what is the rule that has been broken?
That you interrupting the floor and allowing Eva and Quincy and them to do it when I had the floor on discussion on a motion.
Moving on. So, City Attorney, could you please just clarify this so the council will know going forward?
I heard Council President Mays saying that there was a motion that was properly seconded, and that he was at the point of discussion, but I didn't know what the motion was. I know that you were separating from the master, but I'm not sure, was it clarified that it was already separated, and that was the point where Council President was at discussion, or was it not clarified that there was separation?
So we were in the process of continuing to separate.
I mean, I would have to then say it's a determination of the chair. You are under the impression that there hasn't been a separation. Separation has to continue.
Okay, thank you.
Point of order, Madam Chair. Point of order, Madam Chair. This is real simple.
What?
A motion was made to pass.
Please, Mr. Mays, you're out of order.
Please wait to
Clock
be
on the point
acknowledged.
of order.
Please wait to be acknowledged, Mr. Mays, before you proceed to speak. So, Mr. Mays, what is your point of order and what is the rule? Please state the rule that has been broken.
Madam Chair, is nowhere in the rules that I have to state a rule, as you say. State the rule. It's nowhere in the point of order that you have to do that. My point of order is that a motion has been made and properly seconded. You gave me the floor in discussion. Mr. Murphy called the point of order. In fact, when they get the floor, they can do separations. It ain't but 3 of them. This ain't no rocket science. And if y'all continue to take the floor after giving it to me, I'm going to appeal. There was no motion made to say something about separations. This was a motion to move the council. I got the floor. If you don't want it separated, don't. You didn't entertain that motion. I got the floor. I separated one. I'm talking about the other. It's proper. Now you rule.
Councilwoman Dr. Lewis.
Councilman Murphy.
Point of order. Check him like you check me.
Mr. Mays, you're out of order.
No, I'm not. I'll appeal the ruling of the chair. I'm waiting on your ruling. I'll appeal the ruling if you think I'm out of order. I did everything I could to communicate. I'll appeal your ruling if you think I'm out of order. He was out of order.
Okay.
I'm doing a point of order on him. You ain't checking him like you're checking me.
Okay.
If you rule me out of order for a point of order and don't address it, I'm appealing the ruling of the chair. Do we want to go through that?
So you appeal the ruling of the chair?
What is your ruling? That I'm out of order for asking a point of order and trying to get this on track? Is that your ruling? That I'm out of order?
Mr. Mays, you are speaking before you're being acknowledged. Furthermore, when you're asked of what is your point of order, you can't state the rule, and you're interrupting when we're trying to speak. So that's why I said you are out of order. Now, only thing we're trying to do, and that's why I asked for the city attorney's opinion, because I want to make sure we get this done right. I'm not a senior council person. I haven't been here 8 years. So I just wanted to get clarification from the city attorney that what took place was proper, that we were still in the process of separating before we went on to discussion. So I'm just trying to get that clear. So I just wanted to make sure, I want to make sure that it's right. So I wasn't calling you wrong. You're right. I'm trying to get clarification. But you aggressively speaking to me, that's not going to get you where you need to be. So when you talk aggressive and you don't have your point
of order, Madam Chair. Point of order.
You don't have your point of state the rule.
No, you say cease talking and ask me what my point of order is. That's your role. I just called the point of order.
What is your point of order? And please state the rule.
Madam Chair, you didn't check Mr. Murphy when he didn't do a privilege motion while I was waiting on you to rule on my motion. I understand you talking to the city attorney. I was doing a point of order on Mr. Murphy because you was listening to him and wasn't checking him. Now, if you want to proceed with the city attorney, proceed. But I don't need to speak. I'm waiting on your ruling. That's what's in order.
You're waiting on my ruling regarding?
My original point of order.
And your original point of, what was his original point of order?
I don't know. I'm confused.
All right. Well, since you are confused and probably 9 out of 10, the rest of us, we are too. Can we go ahead and proceed? Do you still want to go on with your point of order, Mr. Mays? We're just trying to separate this so we can move on. So we have 2 more meetings, 2 more committee meetings to go as well as council.
He probably dropped.
Okay, so go ahead.
So sorry. Just a point of information, or well, point of order. He probably dropped.
Oh, all right.
That's okay.
I did
Okay.
drop, but I am back. If the question was directed towards me.
Okay. Because it is that time, per Davina. So, Mr. Attorney, did you finish your statement?
I don't know if, I mean, I did. I don't know if you were able to hear everything that I said. If you could just ask the question again, I could just start over again.
Okay, we were in the process of separation, and Mr. Mays, he had a suggestion to separate, and so he began to discuss before we could go on and separate the rest. So, do we
Unmuted.
Drinking water before bed burns 46 pounds in 2 weeks.
I believe you were once temporarily suspended from.
Hold on, city council. Fuck you.
210-588, 210-590 to council, and it was supported by.
Thank you. And it was supported by Ms. Herkenroth. Is that what you were saying? And that's what I recall. There had no language in the motion to allow for separations. The motion was made. It was properly seconded. I asked to get the floor. When I got the floor, I made a separation.
Richard, down there.
What is your point of order, Mr. Murphy?
That Councilman Mays asked to separate 210.
Yeah. Rich. Oh shit.
Y'all got
Hey, Rich, you got
it don't matter,
city
man.
council.
The whole city, like what you was talking. I love that too. I love that motherfucker gave me the shit. He's still open the egg rolls. You know what?
Rich, watch your language, man. Rich, you gotta watch your language, man. Rich, can you hear me? Rich, can you hear me? Richard. Rich.
That is correct.
If I may continue, that's not a point of order. That's a point of information. But regardless of that, Mr. Murphy and Miss Lewis, not just in this meeting, but many of meetings, I guess they're in a tug of war to prove their intelligence with me. And they want to turn to the city attorney when anybody paying attention to this council meeting know a motion was made and properly seconded. We was in discussion and I had the floor. And then once I got the floor, because people don't understand that a motion needs language with separations, and it didn't happen, then that I could still separate without an objection and discuss the resolution dealing with the Children's Museum on the motion that had been made. And I don't care how many council people vote wrong.
Madam Chair, I'll second it.
Point of order.
Ms. Wording, what is your point of order?
Mr. Mays was threatening staff to be careful. She gave you correct information. You can't have two appeals. That's my point of order. We're in an appeal. He cannot appeal in an appeal.
Thank you, Councilwoman Worthing. So dealing the first appeal with Mr. Mays being ruled out of order.
Point of order. Point of order. Ms. Lewis, I'm not going to have you. It's improper for you to warn me of being out of order, can remove me, and we can't appeal. Every ruling of the chair is subject to appeal. I made one on the ruling me out of order based on what I was saying in that appeal. I don't want to be out of order. I think I was relevant, and I've heard a second to the appeal. Now, we do have the right to appeal every decision of the chair, particularly when you call somebody out of order, which is could get them removed. What's you gonna do?
So, Davina, are you there?
Davina don't
Davina or
control the
Chanel?
council. Point of order, point of information.
Okay, you know what, Mr. City Attorney.
Yes.
Okay, so just for some clarity, where we are within the meeting. So right now we are dealing with the first appeal because we can't make an appeal during an appeal. So that is correct?
Yes, that's correct as far as I'm aware.
Point of information.
Okay. What is your point of information, Mr. Mays?
Through you to the city attorney, do you know that our rules say any decision of the chair can be appealed?
Yes, I am aware, City Council President.
So my point of information is, why would you tell her this specific decision can't be appealed?
It's not that it can't be appealed. I think it's the correct process of dealing with the first appeal and then appealing the second after the first appeal has been the
point of information.
What is your point of information, Mr. Mays?
Mr. City Attorney, if your logic was right, then I could be ruled out of order and couldn't appeal it and be gone. That would be a fair statement, wouldn't it?
That is true.
Okay, so let's deal with our first appeal. So the first, so Janelle, can you read back on what the
point of order?
What? Yes, Mr. Mays, and please.
Yeah, the second appeal has been appealed and seconded. I'm not going to let you rule me out of order and don't appeal that. It's been appealed and seconded, and so that's really where we're at. You want to withdraw your out of order based on what I was talking about and let me finish, or you want us to appeal your ruling that I was out of order? It's been seconded.
Mr. City Attorney, so when we have two appeals, Mr. Mays, we don't need the extra commentary. Mr. City Attorney, so when we have two appeals on the floor, do we go after the second appeal first, or do we take care of the first appeal first?
So to be completely honest, I've never had that happen. So I'm just not. It's not anything that I'm immediately aware of. It seems that simply just like in the nature of Robert's Rules of Order, that
point of information.
What is your point of information, Mr. Mays?
Through you to the city attorney, do you understand that council rules supersede Robert's rules and they say any decision can be appealed?
Yes, I am aware of that, and I don't debate that the decision can't be appealed. I think it's more of a process because if you think about it, it's really like it could be an infinitum that a decision could be appealed, and then amongst that decision being appealed, there could be an appeal of that decision. Then amongst that decision, there could be an appeal of that decision until the end of time, and there could never
point
be
of information.
Mr. Mays, please let the city attorney continue.
Point of information.
What is your point of information, Mr. Mays?
That's what's proper, ma'am. Through you to the city attorney, that's kind of like a goofy set of rules, you think?
I'll keep my personal opinions out of it. I'm just stating I believe in my, at least, maybe I should prepare a legal opinion for you. But from my understanding, the process would be to deal with the first appeal, and then after that, then deal with the second appeal. And you are correct, if you may be, like, in some hypothetical situation removed, then the second appeal wouldn't be addressed at that time. So I guess that lends to, maybe it would be better for me to prepare a legal opinion regarding the matter, and until that time, I would just have to defer to the pleasure of the chair.
Thank you so much, Mr. Attorney. So let's deal with the first appeal. So I gave my statement. Do we have any more discussion on the first appeal?
Point of order, Madam Chair.
Mr. Mays, what rule was broken?
Now, I know a point of order and appeals have to be immediate. I've done it immediate. You're switching the order around, and I'm telling you, you're really discombobulating this and relying on people where the council will decide. That's what they keep telling you. I'm throwing it back to you. We've appealed you. You do it any way you want. But Miss Lewis, it ain't all what you think it is. And so, go ahead. I'll be quiet and wait to see what happens so we can get the heck out of here and get this business done.
Chairperson Lewis, if I may, there's actually something that might help with clarity in this situation.
Please go ahead, Mr. City Attorney.
It was actually what Council President Mays just said. If there's an appeal that's made, and then it's necessary to address the appeal immediately, I think that it would just logically follow that the first appeal has to be followed, or has to be addressed before anything else can happen. That's all.
Okay, thank you so much. So, as I continue to try to address the first appeal, we are dealing with the first appeal. And the first appeal was that Mr. Mays was ruled out of order. And I asked for a discussion. Do we have any discussion on the floor?
This is Councilman Murphy.
Go ahead, Councilman Murphy.
The thing that I was trying to have the opportunity to do is like any other of my colleagues that when we put the master resolution on the floor historically, it has been, is there any separation? What the chair usually do, and since I've been attending council meetings, they go around to each colleague to see if they want to separate a resolution. The first resolution that was separated that I heard was the resolution that talked about the objection of resolution 210590. Once that resolution was separated, then it continued by Councilman Mays to get to talking about the rest of the master resolution, which included the Children's Museum. I wanted to separate the Children's Museum. That's the only thing I wanted to do, because I just wanted to talk about it. So he had the opportunity to separate his. So I just wanted a fair chance to separate one resolution. That's all, and it's unfortunate that we going this far. And thank you.
Point of information.
Point of information.
Through you to the speaker, do you realize that you could have separated it when you get the floor after I'm done?
All right. The
Can I
Anything
continue?
else, Council? Yes, go ahead, Councilman Murphy.
Oh, thank you. So my point is, I feel as if this council is being dominated by one particular council that is his way and no way, and no one else has the right to sign in and have input on the agenda and the business of the city of Flint. So if he have an opportunity to separate one, why can't we share space for Councilman Murphy to say, well, I have a separation? And because this is a learning curve for a lot of us, as the chair, when you say, is there any separation? And he say, yes, I want to separate this such or such and such. You give him the opportunity, and then you go along and say, is there any other separations? But that didn't happen because he went and separated, then kept going on.
Point of information.
Cut out.
What is your point of information, Mr. Mays?
Through you to Mr. Murphy, are you blaming me for what her lips said or didn't say, or what the motion said or didn't say? Are you blaming me for those errors?
Please continue, Mr. Murphy.
I'm done. We about to have a marathon meeting, so I have nothing else to say. I do not want to hold this meeting up any longer. Whatever
Madam
you do,
Chair.
Councilman.
Continue, Mr. Murphy.
Thank you. Whatever you so choose to do, I just want to move the meeting forward because we want to get this done. And I'm here for the long haul.
Thank you, Councilman Murphy. Was that Councilman Pfeiffer?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
I can't support the chair in this motion or this appeal because the motion on the floor didn't recognize separations. It was to move the entire agenda to council. When we do normal separations, we add with any separations as part of the motion, and it wasn't done in this case. So we were in discussion, and so I don't understand what is going on, but there was no part of that motion was to add any separations. So I think that the chair was out of line, taking the floor away from Mr. Mays. Mr. Mays had the floor for discussion because we were on discussion. That's it. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Anyone? Go ahead.
This is Ms. Worthing. I have been on council for 4 years. We historically have never said with separations. Mr. Mays knows this. If Quincy hadn't called that
point of information.
What is your point of information, Mr. Mays?
Through you, Madam Chair, to Ms. Worthing, why do you speak on what I know? And I've made motions to pass a master resolution with this council with separations. Why would you say that?
I'm sorry your feelings are hurt, Mr. Mays. You do try to hurt others.
Point of information.
I'm very sorry. Are you going to be okay?
What is your point of information, Mr. Mays?
Through you to Ms. Worthing, my feelings are not hurt, and you can talk condescending, but do you really know for a fact that my feelings are hurt?
You chose to interrupt me, Mr. Mays.
Okay.
Oh.
Can you continue, Ms. Worthing, please?
Thank you. This is a big waste of time. When Mr. Mays doesn't get his way, he appeals and gets upset. But the order is exactly as the city attorney stated. And Mr. Mays knows this because he said he separated something. But then, instead of waiting to vote on them, or to have any more separations, he just started discussing another resolution. That's not how it works. It's never worked that way in the 4 years I've been here. So I'm going to vote yes to support the chair. Thank you.
Any more discussion? Any more discussion? All right, ask one more time. Any more council people would like to speak? All right, so we go on to state the to state the business. So it is, we are appealing, we are voting to appeal the ruling of the chair. So, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Mays,
No.
Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Ms. Priestley, Ms. Priestley, Ms. Winfrey Carter, Ms. Burns,
No.
Ms. Herkenroder,
No.
Mr. Pfeiffer,
No.
Ms. Worthing.
Yes.
Vote is 3 yes, 4 no.
All right, so excuse me, we're under the weather, hence my voice. So the ruling is we had 3 yes and 4 no. So the ruling of the chair has failed. So now we go on to city attorney.
Point of order, Madam Chair.
So what is your point of order?
If the ruling fails, I had the floor, but I'll pull back and wait to see where you're headed.
Okay, so city attorney just wanted to clarify that since the ruling of the chair has failed, is it proper that we go back to Councilman Mays and allow him to finish his statement? Or do we go to the second appeal?
The second appeal was Council President Mays' appeal. I think that at this point it would be really at his discretion whether he would rather continue with his appeal first or if he would rather maintain the floor with what he was originally discussing prior to his appeal.
Okay, thanks a lot. So Councilman Mays, you have heard. Either you can drop your appeal and proceed with the discussion, or we can move forward with your appeal.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'm trying to get this meeting over with. As far as what the city attorney has said I don't agree with. I'm always going to protect myself from 2 warnings and removal. It makes headlines. You should know that. And so it's very important for me to appeal at a certain time. And I just don't agree with the procedure here. My point was to discuss the resolutions once I had been given the floor. And just for the record, the council rules say it takes a majority of 5 elect to make a determination. Council rules supersede Robert's rules. So really there was no determination made. Robert's rules say a majority or a tie sustains the vote of the chair. And I don't know if it means a majority of no and the ruling failed, but regardless, I think we got to be careful listening to Quincy, you, city attorneys. This council seemed to be getting intelligent enough to rule.
Mr. Mays, point of order. Point of order.
There you go. Now you're talking.
Absolutely. So you are not being germane to the conversation. We are not handpicking people. You said that you wanted to move forward with the meeting. Move forward with the meeting. So do you want to drop the appeal, yes or no, so we can let you finish discussing so we can go?
I guess I won't rule on your point of order. You interrupted me when I was just getting ready to say I yield the floor to whoever want to speak in discussion on the motion, whether it's you, Quincy, Pfeiffer. Sometime you ought to just wait a measly second because when the city attorney talked about it and talked about my appeal, and it takes time, motions to withdraw appeals. I say I'm not interested in it. So quit hollering and frowning at me if you may, and I'm going to yield the floor.
Is this on one say point of order or point of information?
That Baird, the company we hired we hired here, but they were in Lansing too. That Baird and Shelby, and then Baird and Rob.
Who is that?
Yes. Well, excuse me, Mr. Mays. I'll determine that. Thank you. May I please ask who's speaking?
That was someone who should have been muted.
Okay. Thank you so much, Janelle. All right. So
Yeah, when I hear any sound, I try my best to be quiet because it could be a point of information, point of order. And so I'm not even exaggerating. Within a millisecond, I was going to yield the floor because this was just as messy as it come. And your warnings were premature. They were wrong. And I yield the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mays. So do we have any more separation? Go ahead, Mr. Fiber.
There was an appeal and there was a second. So somebody has to withdraw their appeal or they have to withdraw the out of order.
Well, the out of order, it was overridden by the majority. So the second appeal was by Mr. Mays, and he said that he gives the floor to others, and he didn't state whether he was rescinding his appeal or not. Right. So we can move on. So, Mr. Mays, are you going to rescind your appeal so we can move forward, or do you want to go forward with your appeal?
Only when you rescind the out of order, which I don't think I was. I mean, this meeting will be over in a minute. I can take one. I can't take two. It's up to you. Mr. Piper, let her do what she wants. She still don't get it.
Mr. Mays, we don't need any condescending remarks from you. And those remarks will get you ruled out of order. And if you see that your council person does not, that your colleague does not get it, please, let's go ahead and help us so we can get it, so we won't be in the same spot.
Okay, point of information.
What is your point of information?
You listen to the attorney. He said take one appeal first, 1 second. I yield the floor. It's on you.
So, per city attorney, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, so next step. I just want to make sure that I'm clear, and I thought that I heard you very well when you said that, so our appeal failed, the ruling of the chair failed, and so the next person that called for the appeal, now, which was Mr. Mays, so now it's time for him to proceed with his appeal if he chooses to do so. Is that correct?
I'm just going to state it from chronologically, just almost for my own edification, but I believe this to be correct. Councilman Murphy made a point of order while Council President Mays was speaking, and then the appeal that was related to that failed. During the original appeal, Council President Mays made a second appeal regarding what Councilman Murphy said during that appeal process. As far as I'm aware, this is related to Council President Mays' appeal of the decision of the chair related to the point of order regarding Councilman Murphy speaking during the first appeal. Is that correct?
Point of information.
Go ahead, Councilman Mays.
Yeah, through you to the city attorney. She had ruled me out of order doing a point of order in that first process. I'm just ready to get this thing moving. I'm telling them in so many words, I can take one warning, but no, I appeal the decision of the chair ruling me out of order a second time, and we could get to the record, but I'm ready to move on. It was a bogus out of order. I'll take one. I won't take two. So your effort was gallant, but my point of information is, do you really know that that's not what was happening?
I think just for my own, again, for my own clarification, I think that this was only an issue of one warning against you, Council President Mays, that failed. And then this is, and the second appeal was related to Councilman Murphy being out of order.
Point of information.
What is your point of information, Mr. Mays?
To you, to the city attorney, in all due respect, my appeals had both to do with her ruling me out of order. I never heard her rule Mr. Murphy out of order. Are you sure you have that right?
No, I think my understanding was that while she allowed, before she made a decision on your appeal, she allowed Councilman Murphy to speak, and you made an appeal. Maybe I am kind of crossed, I guess, now, but I thought that the issue was related to Councilman Murphy being allowed to speak before the chair made a decision on the initial appeal of you being out of order by the point of order made by Councilman Murphy.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Attorney. So with that being said, how should we proceed?
Point of order, Madam Chair.
I heard someone else. Was that Councilman Worthy?
Point of order, Madam Chair.
I thought I heard someone else say the same thing.
No, I didn't
you.
say point of order.
Didn't.
Oh, you said point of order? Okay. So go ahead, Mr. Mays.
Yeah. I'm saying I'll keep the one warning. Let's proceed with the discussion on the motion. That's my point of order. If you want to circle back to the appeal, fine. I'm not doing nothing on it. I'll see what you do. I've said that. This is